thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 374 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing. Recorded here in South Dakota in several corners of the state. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Just going corners of the state, leaving it a little more ambiguous this time.
Portions of the state. We don't want to give away where we live.
Yeah. Got people stalking us. I get this feeling that in about a month or and a half from now, all these people are going to try to come to my house.
I know. It's very uneasy feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. It's unnerving. What are they going to do at my house? Maybe on, I think on Friday night before the meet, we do have to do something. We have to organize something. Maybe there's been these running jokes about everyone camping out in my backyard. Maybe in my backyard on the Friday evening, we will have to do something there.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
We're getting some new used patio furniture, so we
better
get some people over here, break it in.
That's right.
Bring about 80 people over to sit in the two chairs.
Preferably a lot of big people, too. Really put it through its paces.
No SHWs in the new used patio chairs.
It's called the stress test.
Yeah. Before we jump into this too far, I want to let everyone know about this episode and who it's brought to us by. One of the companies that this episode is brought to us by is SPUD Inc. You can check them out at spud-inc-straps.com. SPUD Inc. started because the lifting straps available at the time were not tough enough to handle the daily punishment that comes with training as a powerlifter, or that could easily fit in a gym bag. SPUD Inc. created their straps to withstand whatever your training puts them through. Finally, they got training gear that just works as hard as you do. Whether you're looking for belts, harnesses, deadlift straps, bow ties, what's the belt when you do the belt squat? Is it the belt squat belt?
Squat belt?
The belt squat belt. Any of that, SPUD has you covered. And even better than that, possibly, they have free shipping on all domestic orders that are $75 or more. So check out SPUD Inc. Let them know that your good friends at Massenomics sent you.
And this episode is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Caps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 1979, Buddy bought his first lathe to begin addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he'd ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com.
That's not all. Texas Power Bars just announced today they just came out with their 29-millimeter power bar.
Whoa, I didn't see that.
They've got it in bare steel. I just got the email just an hour ago.
Breaking news.
Yeah, they've got it in bare steel finish, or I think they're black zinc. It's got aggressive knurling, more loadable sleeve length on the Texas Power Bar. I think the bare steel version's only like $315, so it's still a very affordable price.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie, I might have to get one.
Yep. I mean, you can't have one of our best sponsors releasing a premier product like this and not know what it's all about.
Yeah. Big Keith in the Discord, he says buy one so he can try it when he's here in July. I just might.
Don't tempt him.
I feel like we need a 13th power bar at the gym just in case.
You know, you've blown through the quota already that you had for the year of three barbells, which is, it's hard to even say that with a straight face now. Actually, it's going to be hard to even say that number next year with a straight face.
I know, and I'll even think more. I'm like, I don't know what else we would get, and then we'll have like 12 new barbells.
Okay. All right. We now have 5 barbells for every member.
Yeah. Sometimes I just can't help myself over here.
No, you cannot. I do have a bit of follow up from last week. Are you ready for this, Tanner?
Yes. This is what I came for this week.
Cool beans.
I don't know if you heard that, but I did forget to serve up David Thomas Tao his crispy cool beans after that podcast. We were so
they might be a
hyped
little
last
stale.
week.
He's getting them a week. They've been sitting out for a week. Forgot to deliver them, but he
Yeah.
got them nonetheless. The important thing is he's getting them, right?
Yes. So apologies to David to what was otherwise a knockout show, but I did forget my end of the bargain with the cool beans.
Yeah. Does seem like the podcast has just been rolling great. We've had so many good interviews lately. We're having a lot of fun. We're doing these over the Zoom video, which has been working out.
Yeah,
really
and that's
cool,
what we
I
said.
think.
Does it just feel exciting for us because we have guests on video now and it's really fun to see someone, or are we actually doing really awesome? I don't know. Someone tell us. Are we doing good? Do we suck? I don't know.
It does feel like they've been. I mean, I feel like I've been having a lot of fun over here. So, I don't know. Something's working. I don't care if anyone else likes it. I'm liking it.
Yeah. Speaking of things,
I mean, actually, I do care. I care.
Yeah, I
how
do
everyone
care
feels,
too.
and
It's
I
just
can't
it's just
actually
cool to pretend
stand-
like you don't care,
Yeah,
right?
I can't stand the criticism if it's bad. Actually, as a matter of fact.
Speaking of things that are working, though, Tanner, we've been telling some people that they should sign up for the supporting member level because we have a little something going out this month to all of our supporting members, and people are listening. They're signing up.
They're flocking in droves this week
because they
into
know
the,
they know we
Discord.
got the goods and we supply the goods. So if you are listening to this, as of right now, by the time this episode comes out, it is early June. You still have time. You can get signed up for our Massenomics special gift that we are sending to all supporting members. And you can do that by going to massenomics.com/join. Rates start as low as $3 per month. You get to be a part of this exceptional Discord crew. You get to listen to the podcast live early on Wednesday nights. And a couple times a year, you get a free gift. And this is one of those couple times a year where the free gift is being made as we speak.
Yeah, we've done some fun free gifts in the past. We did, the last one, I think was the last one, the crew member patch, actually. Before that, we had the membership card that went out. And this one I'm pretty excited for everyone to open this. It's always kind of a big secret of what it's going to be. And I think this one is really going to get a lot of smiles, a lot of nose breaths. Nobody knows what's coming. I think nobody knows what's coming here besides you and I working on it literally as we speak today, fine tuning some things, some stuff, deliveries getting made here to the fulfillment center. I got to pick some things up later this week. Can't say from where because it would give away part of the surprise, but this is going to be a really fun one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
It's like I shouldn't be so excited for us to, give away a bunch of free stuff like that. It's not in Massenomics nature, but it is just, it's worth the LOLs, honestly. Like it's worth all the smiles and all those beautiful supporting members' faces.
Absolutely. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you go sign up. We're not going to send this out until a little later in June, probably mid-June at the very earliest, but it's probably going to be closer to the end of June. So you got time. Even if you're a week late listening to this, 2 weeks late, you probably still have time. So just make sure you get in there, get signed up, and you can be part of the fun.
Yes, do get signed up right away, and you'll get in on this giveaway. So you you'll get a giveaway right at the beginning of your membership, which is the perfect time to get signed up. And speaking of things showing up and coming in, we had our comp drop that had just gone out, where it was the comp tee in red or black. That works perfect on your singlet because it's got the Massenomics logo, and then the Lift Hard on one sleeve, the Live Easy on the other. That was in red or black, and then the Massenomics deadlift socks, which are our first deadlift socks we've ever had, and then the headband, which came out perfect. I've seen a few people wearing it this week. Big Matt from the Discord, I saw him wearing his. Big Bryce, Tommy's got one right there. Sweet headband. So that was our comp drop. One important item was missing from that. It showed up now, came all the way from where it came from. It came to my doorstep. It's here in the fulfillment center. It's the Massenomics singlet. We're working on getting some images of that now and fine-tuning, our best size recommendations on this thing. And the week that this podcast comes out, we should be releasing that singlet then too. So should be, within a week or less that we've got that thing actually available for sale on our website. It is on the website right now where you can go sign up for back in stock notifications. If you really want one of these, I would suggest doing that so that you can know about it as soon as possible once it's for sale. Because we didn't buy a ton of singlets because we don't know what this singlet thing is going to be like for us. It's, we've never had one. It's a pretty specialty item. So the inventory is not huge. So if you do want one of these, do not sleep on the singlet.
Yeah, mine shows up tomorrow. I'm very, very excited to see this thing. You told me they look good, so I'm taking your word for it. That's got me even more excited. But,
they pop. You can, if you go on the website, you can see a mock-up of it, but we'll have some images, with actually being on and stuff. So it should help. But yeah, they're super cool.
Big Keith wants to know if it's going to make his dong look big or small. We did make sure to add a lot of extension. We did some airbrushing around the dong region.
I can tell you, you're not going to have to stuff your singlet in this thing. Like it's got to, it's like how women's pants do the thing on the butt to
butt thing
make
where
your
it,
butt
scrunchies in.
Yeah, we built in scrunchies around the dong. So that your eyes almost can't help but go it'd be like, I don't want to look at the dong area, but I can't not.
Do I see two individual balls outlined on your singlet? What's going on there?
This singlet it accentuates the balls like no singlet has ever done before.
Each testicle is shown in its full glory.
Just seeing a penis outline is not enough anymore. The testicles need to be almost completely
You will
visible.
be the star of the show here.
Yeah, yes.
That's good. It's good. We'll have to go make sure we go update that product description.
Yes. Let's see.
What else have we got on the list
over
here?
there?
I have something.
Do you have a bottle?
I have something more special than a can.
I figured you might.
And I figured you also had a hand in how this went. It was funny.
What gave it away?
I put the pieces together really quick on this because the family had just gone down to bed. My wife was putting our son to bed. It was quiet in the house for the first time in what felt like weeks. I don't know. I had lost track of time. And I'm sitting there. I'm just getting ready to watch the NBA Finals, Game 7. I believe that was the day this was.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Eastern Conference Finals. Correct. I'm sitting there, and at the townhouse that I'm at currently, there's a large window, and I see movement coming from it. And normally I'd probably be alarmed because someone's running to my window, but immediately I spot the Lift Neon shirt on, and I think I know what's going on
it's
here.
An inside job.
And I see a guy bend over at the door, putting something on the ground, and take off running. And I see him go running towards a truck on the street, which I felt like I recognized. And immediately I was putting the pieces together. I waited a minute or two for them to have their getaway clean, and then I went out and looked, and waiting for me was this bottle right here. And what is this bottle? This bottle is dirt soda, shoveled and bottled in the US of A.
Yeah.
And I had this little note for Tommy. You can't move away from this. Have fun. BW.
You can't move away from this. I like that.
Yeah. So that would have been my old neighbor just down the street that had left beverages in the past. Left a beverage all the way down in eastern southeast South Dakota this time.
Oh, also supporting member too, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Is he staying anonymous on that? Or
I don't know. It's Brody.
Yeah, Big Brody.
Big Brody. Yeah.
We'll let the W just like
The
any
W.
will be
Let that
Brody
stand.
W.
Should we crack into this?
Yeah.
I'm very curious. There's no alcohol in this, right? Is it just because didn't the last time
did
they give us
it tastes like dirt?
Did they give us the wing beverage the last time? Is that what it
that's
was?
what it was, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is this isn't a twist off, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I didn't come prepared for that.
Okay, this does include 40.
Oh wait, I came prepared for that.
Yeah, there you go. This does include 42 grams of added sugar, so there's no lack of sugar in this thing. Wow, that smell.
I never have a bottle opener when I need one. I had one right at my fingertips when I needed one.
That's pretty convenient. Smell that. Just kind of smells like dirt, doesn't it?
Yeah. What are the odds?
All right, should we do this?
Mm.
God,
I don't care for it.
It's not good. It kind of tastes like dirt with a lot of
Sweet dirt
sugar in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of tastes dirty. Like if you drink
tastes
potting
dirty.
soil.
It tastes dusty, actually.
Yes,
Like,
yes, it does
could be
taste
like-
dusty.
It'd be like
Like dusty,
dusty
sugar.
soda.
What's the company that
Dust
actually
isn't
makes
an
these
actual
things?
ingredient here, is it?
Rocket Fizz. There you go. Rocketfizz.com. Man, that's not.
That's unpleasant.
Oh, God. It's actually even worse on the second one. Wow.
I mean, it's not like drinking a bottle of piss, like in the sense I could slug this whole thing if I had,
boy.
like,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to. I won't be finishing this.
No.
But,
God, that's not very good.
yeah.
I'm actually trying to think if I would prefer this or what was it? Protocol. There you go. Protocol.
Oh. I think
At
I'd
least-
rather drink this
At least
than
I'm going
that.
to kind of get a buzz with Protocol.
That's true.
Okay, I got to
Like
go.
by your like third one, you're not going to care what it tastes like.
Okay, I'm going back for taste number 3. And
I'll try one more here too.
oh, God, that is bad. Wow, I think it gets worse every drink.
Yeah, it's not good. Is it?
I was-
It's almost like is root beer.
Ah.
It's dusty root beer
Yeah, it's
sugar
just-
or something like
If you gave that to me, I would think that you had just given me the world's oldest soda. Like someone
Yeah.
found it in a barn, chilled it, and then gave it back to you. That's really bad.
I mean, I do think they're kind of hitting on the dirt thing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty good.
Like if you just like sugary stuff, maybe you'll find a way to like that. But just pure sweetness doesn't do it for me either.
So
Dirt
how many
soda.
JD Power and
I
Associates
think I'd give
awards
that.
do you
Well,
give
what
this?
did we? Can I give that 0? Is that allowed?
I think 0 is unprecedented.
That it's
Do
not.
is that the scale? Is the scale 0 to 5?
Yeah, is the
Like, have we
worst
ever said
0
that
or
before?
1? That's what I don't know. Do you just get it just for showing up? Do you get a JD and Associates award?
That's what I wonder. If you just like nobody doesn't get at least 1,
well, then
don't
in
know.
that case, it gets 1, I guess.
I would also give it a 1.
Ugh. Well, I did come prepared because I was afraid that might happen. So I brought a backup plan with me here.
Oh,
And
smart.
I got a little Modelo. It's Modelo time.
I'm worried though. I did say that protocol was worse, but Big David keeps the official ratings records, and he
Yep.
said we gave it a 1 and a 1.5.
Oh,
Who gave it the 1 and who gave it the 1.5? Because if I gave that a 1.5.
I think
then
I
I'm
probably
worried.
gave Protocol a 1.5, maybe.
Okay,
I don't
if
know.
I gave it a 1, I could tie. Oh no, it was me. I guess I'm going to give this a 1.5 then, just to equal the protocol.
then I
Although
got-
in hindsight, I think the protocol is really a 1 too. But I don't know if we can amend the records of.
It's not piss. This one, it's not piss, but damn, it's dusty. That's for sure. Oh,
I thought that protocol was offensive though.
it was bad. I mean, it just had the only saving grace is that there was alcohol in it, so you could say at least you're getting drunk. But this Modelo is good, though. I'll tell you that.
Are you kind of on a Modelo kick then?
Very much so.
Is it your favorite beer right now? Or
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
where's that brewed at?
It is where
that
it's
an
actually
import?
brewed. I don't know if it's
Well,
it's
no.
one of those things. I just feel like either no, it does say brewed in Mexico. Actually, wow.
Okay.
I thought for sure it was going to say somehow it's owned by Anheuser-Busch or Miller Coors.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's like everything is.
I don't know if this is completely on unrelated note, but it's just something I was thinking about. I've been doing a little early morning runs.
Whoa!
Not
Whoa.
really for myself.
What?
Been going with Jack, and I have been going on more. He's doing He does cross country now.
Uh huh.
So we've been going on like 6-8. we hit the ground by 6 a.m. We do like a
Okay.
little bit of a warm up, and then we're hitting the ground, and it's just I only have mile runs in me. I have no reason to ever run more than a mile. If anything, I'm sure I've talked about this before, but I don't mind running a mile, and like if anything, I just want to bring that time down. I don't need to go farther than that. I can just do 1 mile faster if I want to.
You don't have a competitive 5K number you're chasing?
No, and I think running that much more than that at this point in time, like with maybe the little bit of mileage that I have
The
on me,
wear
a few
and tear.
things, like it's just like I don't need the wear and tear of running, because I could go out and run 3 miles in the morning at a slower pace than what I'm running.
But also, if you're going to do that, it would be in your best interest to drop like 30 pounds in a
for
hurry.
sure. Like,
You know.
and that's another thing. Even at like, I'm pretty light right now for myself. Compared to the last 10 years, I'm like 250 to 255. But even then, like, that's not a running weight. Like,
No.
for most people, like.
It'd be like saying, "Oh yeah, I'm 6 foot, I weigh 160, and I'm going to try and get really strong, but I'm actually going to stay at this weight." It's like, well, no. Like
Right.
the body type does have some implications in the possibilities here.
Yes. So we got not every morning either, kind of on an every other morning thing right now. So tomorrow morning we actually have one scheduled. I try to do it on my days not lifting. Just what I like about that is I just feel slightly less like a piece of shit, because there is something about my days of no lifting and stuff that I do have a tendency to feel greasier and more like a piece of shit. And the running just makes me feel less greasy.
I did something, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And running a mile doesn't take very long.
No, it really doesn't.
It does not take very long. And running outside and with another person, because had been running on the treadmill occasionally this winter in my garage on, I got one of the True Form runners at home, and outside and with another person is much more pleasant. It feels, it's noticeably easier to run the same times that it's just so much more pleasant. I don't know. I kind of forgot. I haven't ran outside very much for a while, so it is just way more pleasant.
Well, you got to take advantage of those nice summer days. We only have so many of them,
Yeah. He's Big Keith asked who's faster, Jack or myself, and we haven't tested in the form of a race, but the first time we went out and ran this mile, and we live on the bike path, so we go to the same landmarks. We know how far it is, but the first one, I was like, in the first 10 steps, I was like, holy shit, are you sprinting? Like, slow down. What are we doing? Like, I'm not going to be able to do this if that's how fast you can run. But in that mile run, he did stay like 10 yards ahead of me the whole time and would not let me catch him. Even my competitive thing in me at the end, I'm like, I'm going to pass him. And he just like, he would just be able to manage to not let me pass him even at the end. But then on the early mornings, he can't handle the early morning quite as well. He dogs it a little bit more. And then I could, like yesterday morning, I could, we run it together, but I could have outpaced him in that one. But actually fairly comparable. But I think if push really came to shove, I would beat him. Yeah. Just because I just won't allow myself to be beat at that just
like
yet,
you might be like in a really bad place for like the next week.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I just wouldn't lose, wouldn't let myself lose. But boy, I don't know, in like 1 or 2 years from now, that's going to be tougher.
Yeah.
Although in basketball, it is going to take a while. We talk about it all the time, how long it's going to take for him to be able to beat me in one-on-one. And it is not yet. Him being like 5'1", 5'2", and me being 6'2", 6'3". Yeah. It's just so easy to play defense against. Like I can stuff him on literally every play still,
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You got to be the world's best ball handler and be able to shoot from anywhere. That takes time. So
yes. And he is a better ball handler than me. He's a better ball handler than I ever have been already. But there's just being a foot taller than someone like usually, and outweighing him by 100 and God knows how much.
It really equalizes things in a hurry.
You'd have to be so good at 5 foot to be able to be decent, because it's just such a disadvantage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'll hold off on. I mean, basketball could be 4 years until he could. He's going to have to get taller than me, and at that point, in which he probably will. And at that point, I will be screwed though. Where I'm like, oh, okay, you're actually taller than I am.
Okay,
now.
when you're taller than me and you can dunk from multiple
and you're
places,
actually better.
Then then
you're actually kind of better at the skills.
Until
than
then,
I am.
it's mine.
Yeah.
Well, I have not been running, but one thing that I have done a lot more starting the month of May is getting my steps in. Do you pay attention to that like at all? Do you look at the
no, I
pedometer on
don't
your
wear.
phone?
I don't have any. Oh, no, I don't know. Actually, every once in a while, my wife will ask me and have me pull it up, and I never even remember how to be able to do it.
That's kind of my gauge for how lazy I've been because when you work from home, I go to the gym.
Could really let it slip.
Yeah, I go to the gym. Yes, I go to the gym. But besides that, I could keep my steps under almost 1,000 every day if I wanted. I mean, that's as sedentary as a lifestyle as you're going to have. So that is my reminder, like, to get out and walk. And with how brutal our winter was, there was several weeks where it just was not safe to even leave the house with how rocky and icy and slippery the roads were, while on top of being like negative 15. Yes. I usually will brave the cold. Like, it's got to be really, really cold and windy for me to not go. But there was times this winter where I couldn't do it. It was so hard to walk around outside. Yeah. So I've been really trying to get back at it now this last month. And for the month of May, my steps were averaging closer to 8,000 a day, which for me is a lot. For me is really good. I think they say, well, it seems like the magic number that people say is 10,000, you know?
Yeah.
But when you don't go out, when you're not moving on your feet for a living, 10,000 steps is a lot of time walking
just
around,
the time,
you know? That's the problem. It's the time
commitment.
It is. It's the time to do it. But if I can get where I usually get there is, okay, whatever, getting ready in the morning, getting the kids ready, all that, you get a few steps in, not too many. But then it's at lunch, taking the dog for about a 15-minute walk at lunch, because I've usually gone to the gym, and I'm not counting gym steps. I'd probably get a lot at the gym because there's a basketball court, and between sets, I usually do laps on the basketball court, but I don't have my phone on me, so I don't get those. So I'm leaving a lot out there.
That's why I wondered about the not having the phone, because sometimes I don't have that, too.
Yeah, so I'm definitely leaving those ones out, but the big one where I get it at night is once everyone goes to bed, go out, you put the podcast in, you do the long walk, and that one about 35-ish minutes. And even then, I don't know.
How many steps do you get out of that? 1,000 or
3,000-ish.
Oh, okay.
You get a few. You get several thousand. It depends on what route I take for sure. But
okay,
I mean, you get several thousand, but it does just show like getting 10,000 steps in does take a lot of time throughout a day. Yeah. But I do notice if I'm at a day where I've gotten closer to 10,000 steps versus a day where I'm at like 3,000 steps, the quality of sleep is so much better too, just because you've just done so much more activity for the day.
Yeah. I think I've hovered more when I have looked at that before. I think my average is more like 4,000 or 5,000, honestly, and I don't have my phone on me all the time, but still it's probably somewhat of an accurate measure.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting that. I know when I looked at it, there's peaks, so you can tell like, whoa,
it is kind of funny
on that day.
Oh, it is funny to look at. I think one of my biggest days of the entire year was that first day we went to the Arnold, when you're loading and you're just going all the way across back and forth, and the amount of walking. We spent the first half of the day in the car, and I still think by the time that day was over, we were at like 15 or 16,000 steps, which is a lot. At the end of the day, any day at the Arnold, your legs are just beat. They hurt.
Big time. What did Big Alex say? Since this is a topic here, we've ramped up our YouTube content. Last week we did the top 10 strength training podcasts. Make sure to check that out if you haven't yet. That's a fun one. It's kind of reviving an article, a blog post that we've done many years in the past. And we brought that to a YouTube video, so don't miss that one if you haven't. And then this one that comes out tomorrow as we're recording is what is the title of that? I forget what I...
God. I'll tell you in 2 seconds here.
I think strength progress is not linear or something like that is kind of the title.
Yes.
But that's mostly... I'm interested to see what people think of that video, because it's very different than what we've done on most of our past videos, and it's not really all that silly and funny, and it is just kind of me telling a story.
It's somewhat
like
autobiographical, isn't it?
Yeah. So check that out when it comes out. It's already out by the time you're listening to this, so check it out. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and make sure you're subscribing on YouTube.
I found it very educational, Tanner. I was there for most of the things, and you had a timeline assigned to everything, and then you also had footage to support most of the things. I thought, damn, have you actually been working on this video is this video actually 10 years in the making?
No, I recorded it and edited it quickly in order to make sure we had a video to get out this week, as a matter of fact. But I do think it's fun, so make sure to check that out. But then Big Alex, supporting member in the Discord here, he said, talking back to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. He said Tanner takes the new Army fitness test.
Mm-hmm.
What could be a fun YouTube video of this? Both of us took the new
I think that'd be
Army
a really fun
fitness
one.
test.
Yes.
Some of the parts would be less fun than others, but I do, and I've always been curious about this new Army fitness test. I talk about it with Sergeant Anderson at the gym all the time, and I would have liked this test so much better than
what the old one was.
Yeah, the old one, the push-up, sit-ups, 2 mile run. Some of these events are just straight up fun. Like for people that have done a little bit of strongman, like the medicine ball toss overhead, I'm like, that's not tiring, and that's like an easy ace. The deadlift is like you got to do like 335 for a triple. I'm like, I don't even need to warm up for that. Like that's like just like an easy 100. And we could do that. That could be a fun YouTube video for both of us to do.
I think we probably need to do that. I'm looking it up right now for people because there's definitely people that are listening and like, well, what is it? So 3 repetitions, maximum deadlift. Is it trap bar deadlift though?
It is a trap bar deadlift.
Okay, and what's a perfect score? Is it 315?
I think it's like 345, and it's at least the old one. It depends on your age bracket of what the perfect score is. But there's 6 events, and a perfect score on each would be 100. Your max possible score on the total test would be 600. But it should depend on age, or it always used to.
Yep. So I feel pretty good about the maximum deadlift.
Yeah.
I think we both. I mean, but it's not. The number isn't like 400 and some pounds, right?
No, it's like 335.
Okay,
for a
so we'd
triple.
both ace that one.
Yeah.
The standing power throw. You throw
That is the medicine
10
ball
pound medicine ball
you throw
backwards
overhead.
overhead as far as possible. How far do you need to throw it?
I think it's a distance that we would both ace it. I'm pretty without. I think I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, you probably
maybe
would.
I'll get humbled by that.
Yeah,
but
you probably would. If not, if we both don't, I hope I'd be pretty close.
yes.
Next one says hand release push up arm extension. What is that?
Yeah, so it's a push-up, but at the bottom of it, you'd normally be like this in the bottom of the position. You have to take your hands off the ground and put them out to your side and just be on your chest and then push back up. 1.
Okay, as many as possible
2.
in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That could
3.
get very tight. What do you think the number is there?
I don't know what the number is to ace that, but I bet we could both do pretty decent on that. Whether we ace it or not, I bet we wouldn't do poorly on that event from what I
The sprint,
guess.
the next one's the sprint, drag, carry. Do 5 50-meter shuttles. Sprint, drag, lateral, carry, sprint as fast as possible using 2 40-pound kettlebells, and a 90-pound sled. 5 50-meter run. That's a lot of running.
It is, and we would be tired, but I also think someone that has strength
You can just push through it for
really plays to your favor in that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be tired, but I think the strength of where relatively speaking, those weights are not all that significant. I think that really helps out.
Yes. Okay.
So I think we would do well on that event also.
Okay. Then coming into the final 2 events, we have the plank, which I'm very curious how they actually score a plank because
I don't really know for sure either.
You don't have to do planks very long to figure out like, oh, if you just put your butt up a little bit, do this. All right. You've taken so much of the hard part out of it.
Yes.
So that one,
odds are we could probably do pretty decent at that.
Oh
I think,
God,
too.
yeah.
So,
I mean, the person they're showing in the video looks like they have their butt up in the air. I thought I remember saying like, I felt like it was one of the strongmen guys or something. They're like, you're doing a plank wrong if you can actually do it for longer than 30 seconds.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I mean, you can if you want to make a plank really hard, and
you can make it really hard.
Oh,
yeah,
you can.
Yeah, right.
Okay, the last one is the 2 mile run.
That would be the hardest one.
That
for
would
me.
be
That's
the hardest
where I'm
one.
not going to ace that, but I'm not going to fail it. Like the fail time you get, I think you can do like up to like 20 some minutes, which is like 10+ minute mile pace. To be able to pass.
Yeah, you can almost.
But I think you have to get at least a 60 to pass. But in theory, if you ace the first 5, and got a 60 on the last one, you'd have a 560, which would be an exceptional score or a very good score, I think.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one to do sometime. We might have to make a video of that, and Ryan can administer the test to us.
Yes,
and we'll just have Ryan administers it to us. Someone will record us, and then we'll get our thoughts after each event. We'll get our scoring live on screen. That'd be a good video.
I think we'll do that. We'll figure out.
Maybe we'll even get like 1 or 2 other guys from the gym to do it just to get a nice.
Yeah, that would be fun. We can all do it together too.
It'll be us and like 2 challengers or something.
Yes, we could probably get your brother Ryan to get on it, and if we could get maybe like Larry, now that would be fun. Larry and Caden to do it too.
That would be fun. Okay, something to put on the list there.
Yeah. Supporting our supporting members. We kind of talked about this a little bit. Jump in, become a supporting members. Got a few to talk about this week. We do this segment specifically to as one way to give back to our people that choose to support us. And Big Dodzilla, the original supporting member, he was a guest on Built for War Strong podcast. I haven't listened to that yet, but I'm going to check that out when I'm able. Big Joey competed in a push-pull competition. He hit a 176 bench and a 469 deadlift PR. 469, nice. Big Tommy S., I think it's Big Tommy Schneider, competed at USAPL regionals, and I got that he had a 606 squat, 392 bench, and a 650 deadlift for a 1645 total. So a big meet there. And then Big Noah also competed in that same one. I don't have his numbers, but another supporting member, and I don't know if maybe some or any of them could be spotter and loader crew that's coming over to the Lift Hard Live Easy Classic. I'm not sure they could be. And then also Big Thomas Swartz was one of the commentators for that meet, and also a supporting member there. So good to see that crew representing. And there was a part where Noah was going up, and I could hear him on the broadcaster like, Big Noah.
I like it.
So I like the sounds of that. So one other bit of supporting our supporting members, the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. Make sure to check that out. It's the supporting membership crew. I think this week's guest was Big Kevin of Ohio. I think Big Scance was on there recently.
Big Kevin of the crew.
Big Scance was on there maybe the week before. And then who else was
Big Chris Daminger?
Yeah, Big Chris
I learned
D.
how to say his name correctly.
Yeah. Chris loves the D. So shout out to those three for all making it as guests on the Unpaid and Underrated podcast.
They're
Make sure
really
to check the
doing it.
podcast out. Subscribe, leave them a review too.
All right, our guest is waiting. Should we get the show moving?
Yeah, should we do a couple
Yep, I'll start booting
ads
people
quick?
here.
Okay. And I'll while he's doing that, I'm going to tell you all about Juggernaut AI. So Juggernaut training system, as you know, is the leader in strength, having helped thousands of athletes from beginners to world champions to intermediates like ourselves maximize results and reach their goals. They deliver principle-based coaching through cutting-edge technology. And what is that technology, you say? It's the Juggernaut AI app. It's the training that Tommy and myself use. Most of Massenomics Gym use at this point. A whole bunch of our Massenomics supporting members use it. And why do we all use it? Number of reasons. You get to tell the app about yourself. You input a lot of this information, so it really starts to customize the program to you, what you're trying to achieve. There's a powerlifting program, there's a power building program, but then it looks at your weaknesses, your strengths, what your recovery practices are looking like, and it caters your program all to that. A number of days per week you want to put in there. Put it all in. It starts kicking out a program, and then it's adjusting as you're going with adjustments literally from set to set, depending on the feedback that you're giving on how things are moving, how things are going. So probably the best part about Juggernaut AI is our discount code. It's Massenomics, and it'll save you 10% for the lifetime of your membership. In order to do that, make sure to go to the web browser. Don't sign up through the app. Sign up through the website at juggernautai.app. That's where you can use discount code Massenomics. That's where you can save. Thank you, Juggernaut AI.
And today's show is also brought to you by Bearfoot Shoes. Most shoes harm your mobility by over-restricting your foot's natural movement. Bearfoot shoes are designed with minimal restrictions so your feet can move the way they're supposed to. Move with more strength and confidence in every step. Barefoot Shoes was founded by Chris Duffin, who attributes proper foot biomechanics as foundational to his success in squatting and deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for reps. He helped create the company to provide a minimalist shoe that can be worn for anything from deadlifts to walking your dog. Go to www.barefoot.shoes to check out the best minimalist shoes available. And while you're there, make sure to use code Massenomics to save 10% on your next order. That's www.barefootshoes or .barefoot.shoes. Code Massenomics will save you 10%. Thank you, Barefoot. All right, should we let our guest in?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm gonna hit. Here we go. So it helps if I allow him to
Join.
not be muted. Oh, crap.
Make him wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see. And start video. Okay.
Making progress over there.
I gave him permissions now. It's this whole switching the permission from the crew to the guest.
Yeah.
There
yeah.
we go.
Hey, there we are. I'm here.
Big Ryan, is that you?
It's me, man. It's me. I'm here. I made it.
All right, we're excited to get you on. I'm Tanner.
I'm Tommy. Ryan, what's up?
I know you guys are Tanner and Tommy.
We never know. Some people have never listened or seen anything before, so we don't like to assume that anyone knows our stupid faces. So we put it out there. We're excited. We're excited to have you on for sure. And is it? I guess I think I know this, but it's Big Ryan of King of the Lifts, and is it Lapadat? Is that how you pronounce it, or how do you say it?
That's it. That's
Okay.
it. It's Romanian, and I'm not Romanian. Like I don't speak Romanian, so that's as good as I know. I might have it wrong myself, man.
Yeah, but that's what you go with at least. So we'll go with the
Right.
same.
That's
We are very excited to get you on. This one's been a long time coming, I would say, and we always like it when we can get people on that have been around the block on podcasting themselves, because it's a fun conversation that we get to have, and we just get to ask you some questions that not every guest knows what it's like to kind of do this week in and week out for a long time, and we get to get some cool insights for ourselves too.
Yeah, I mean, we started, I think, the exact same year, 2016.
Yeah.
We've seen. I mean, obviously, we were around. Like I was powerlifting in 2008, but we've seen like the progression of podcasts and the plethora of podcasts, like live streams, how much they've changed, and like everything that's going on since then. It's 2016 is like a different era, man.
Oh,
Anyways, I feel like I'm starting a podcast right now. I'm starting to get in the flow already. You got to be careful. I'm a talker.
No, that's good. And what you're saying is so true. Like in 2016, even just doing what we're doing right now with this Zoom and like the way that this audio and video works in 2016, there's a whole different ballgame
that would
to be
have
able
been
to do
like a
what we're
nightmare
doing.
to even attempt this in 2016.
But it was a shit show when I started. Like my King List was a shit show in 2016, man. I didn't know what the hell we were doing. We're just full of piss and vinegar and gumption, and like, let's get it started and we'll figure it out. But all you just learn as you go, man. When I look back now, it's like, oh my God.
That's what makes it fun though, to see, to see how bad it was, because I mean, if you look back on it and you didn't think, wow, that kind of sucked then, that would mean you didn't really do anything better between now and then too,
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing we like to talk about is in 2016, if you told someone you were on a podcast or you're making a podcast, there's a good chance like half the people you told that to might not even know what a podcast is. Like they might not even know what you're talking about. And nowadays a podcast is, I mean, it's almost weirder to hear someone not listen to podcasts, in 2023.
100%. It boggles my mind. I got a buddy who the other day I was talking about podcasts. I'm like, which ones you listen to, man? He's like, well, I can't remember if I've ever listened to a podcast. And I'm like, who the fuck are you that you don't listen? You've never listened to a podcast. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It blew my mind, man. Everybody listens to podcasts. It was the wildest, man. Those people are out there, but yeah. Everybody listens to podcasts, and about half of them have their own podcast or have tried at some point. And most podcasts just never make it.
People don't stick with it long enough. That's like the number one thing that you see is like, it sounds like a good idea. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's done it, and you want to try it. And then you get to doing it and you're like, it's just like everything. You're like, man, this is actually a lot of work. Like it seems fun, but it is a lot of work to do it consistently and keep putting it out.
100%. And it is the consistency. And if you don't build quick enough, like, God bless, I think we came at the right time.
Yeah.
Like all of us, because like we're saying, we came when not everyone had a podcast, but So we could like stick out. If you're doing a powerlifting podcast, how many people got a powerlifting podcast, right? Well, there wasn't a lot of us. So good. We got a bit of a following. You stick with it. It's just you've already got your leg ahead. But some people are trying to enter the market now. Even if they stick with it, I don't know how much of a I don't know how tough it is. You could build it, but it's got to be difficult because you're entering at the same time as like 300 other people all holding hands, jumping in there at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing with like if you're trying to start a YouTube channel from scratch, or if you're trying to make an Instagram page with the idea like, oh, I want to build this big. If you don't have some crazy achievements or some name behind you, like some hype already, it's really hard to do anything from scratch now.
Dude, I was talking to somebody and it's like and this like 2 years ago, and they're like, feel like every week I see a new repost King of Lifts type page trying to, it's like, it's difficult to catch up now though. It's real tough. It's easier when you get ahead, and then you get the branding ahead, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm trying to make it on King of Lifts, but it's tough, man. And so it's more now than just having consistency in working through it. Now it's like you got to battle past already people who are already established and try to pick your own lane. You got to do something entirely new. It's tough, just like anything. I know you fellas were talking to Bryce about like TikTok. Well, there you go. That would be a new market that some people could be like, look at some of these other cats, like you guys, me. I'm on TikTok, but I'm barely posting, man. It ain't really my thing. That's a new lane for people.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something they want to do. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it's hard. You can only spread yourself so thin too, depending on the number of people you got working on it. It's tough to, because like Instagram, for example, I suppose you could just get on, make a post, never look at it again, get on, make a post, never look at it again. But I think most of the time to do well, it requires a little engagement, a little interaction. And like, that's part of what helps build it. And how many platforms can you be on doing that simultaneously? Like actually devote it, it's hard to really devote yourself to that many things at one point in time too.
100%. That's what I've told myself, like, for sure the podcast is like number one for me. I love a good conversation. So that's number one for me for sure. And I love like commentating and like flying around the world and doing commentating. Like, it's the wildest, man. I was a Sheffield. It's crazy to be on these projects commentating like the world championships every year. Like the world championships was the same year I started King of Lifts, and it's the IPF worlds. And King of Lifts, like reposting. I know reposting now is like fairly, everyone does it. At the time, though, it was relatively novel. And are we recording right now, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we're recording now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's like, dog, if this podcast better have started, because we're sort of getting into the story.
We jump right into it.
Good.
We don't wait for anything.
You're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good thing I didn't say nothing controversial. We're off the record.
People like that.
And by
too.
the way, let me tell you about this DM I got from Sophie. No, but well, good. You know what? I'm glad to. Some people know I talk the same on and off the podcast.
Yeah,
same
that's
energy.
true. Yeah,
but I was starting King of Lifts 2016, the same time I started commentary. People didn't know it was the same dude because I kept, at the time, like now everyone knows and you take it for granted, right? Like whatever. But at the time, I wasn't sure how the IPF would feel because I'm reposting people in the untested. I'm reposting people from different feds. I didn't know how it's going to go down. And I had no equity built up amongst anybody with the IPF or anybody, period, really, in powerlifting community. I wasn't like, so when I came on, I kept it just all low key. And King Lifts was a repost page. And then I started doing commentary for the first time that year. And then I'm like, I'm going to do the podcast because I wanted to so bad, but I'm like, once this drops, people are going to be like, oh shit, that's the guy. It's the dude it's the commentator from the World Championships.
Right.
And I'm just like, let's see what happens. And everything was all right. Everything worked out. Everything was fine. Nobody said nothing. And it was all good. So I'm like, okay, good. All right. Whew, we can breathe. We could have a breather. Because as far as I knew, who knows? Who knew how it was going to all work out?
Right. Yeah,
Right.
I can see that. Yeah, it was like the admin reveal of, yep, this is me. I'm the guy running that account. So where did the name come from, King of the Lifts? Like, how did you come up with that? What was the origin of that?
I think I was doing a page. First, I did a page, a bench page, a squat page, and a deadlift page. And when I first started deadlifting, I remember the dudes that were mentoring me were like, "Yeah, I mean, it's the king of lifts, man. You got to do your blah blah blah." And I'm like, "King
Yeah.
of lifts." Put a pin in that. King of lifts. That sounds pretty dope. So then initially, King of lifts was just a deadlift page, and there's different pages. And this was back in the day, man. And then I was like, I want to scrap that, put all three amalgamated under one, and it's just King of the Lifts page. And I wasn't necessarily saying like I'm the king of the lifts or whatever the shit. That's not
Right.
how it was. It was just the way it was. Like the king of the lifts page was by far the biggest of the three. So then, okay, we'll rock with that. And then, but it was no longer a deadlift page. And so as time went by, I'm flying all over the world doing like the commentary, doing the podcast and whatnot. And then things just get all freaking turned around, and all of a sudden, people see you and think like you're king of the lifts. It's like, well, I guess, it's just the way it kind of worked out, man. I don't know. That's how we got the name, anyways. And again, yeah, that was like 2016-ish range. I remember you guys in 2016, by the way,
Yeah.
when everything was first started kicking. Yes, man, because
Yeah.
you start when you first start, like it was. I didn't know. Like first thing you do is you start looking over other podcasts and see how they're doing it and
Yeah.
who's doing what. And there wasn't a lot of us, man. Mark Bell was a
Yep.
little more powerlifting focused at the
They're,
time. He was
they're
like,
a big inspiration for us when we got started, for sure. We looked to them, what they were doing a lot. Yeah.
did you guys, when you first started in 2016, were you guys like, how was it modeled? Like, did you guys come in questions prepped, free flowing conversation, or how were you guys?
I would say probably, God, Tanner, maybe you remember better than me, but
I mean, it was topical. We came in with a topic of the day, really, is what we tried to do at that point in time.
And that probably was maybe the first 10 or 15 episodes. Like we thought we had a single topic we wanted to stick to. And then as time went on, it started to get more and more loose, and just as it started to turn more into observations of just what we have in life and things that have been going on. And then as Massenomics got a little bigger, it just started to turn more into, this is what's going on in Massenomics this week. And also there was some lifting things, and yeah, it's definitely evolved over time for us.
Oh, it's evolved so much. I mean, what we do now is really nothing like, people talk about this all the time, if they come across us and they go through the back catalog, they're like, oh, I got to listen to those because it is such an evolution. It is. Or if you just randomly, you've listened to our last 150 and then you go back and listen to a couple of the early ones, you'd be like, who are these dudes? And why are they talking like that? Yeah. They seem like they're not having, they're not joking around. And, that's a big thing what we do. We try to take a fun approach to everything. And in the beginning, we maybe kind of had that in the back of our minds, but even if nothing else, just from being uncomfortable with the situation, it just wasn't as loose and as fun. And it took a long time to get to that, I think.
You know what the wildest? Okay. So when I first started in 2016, and I can't even put myself in these shoes anymore. So first off, I know you guys had a different dude in there as well with you in the beginning.
Yep.
I've been through so many different co-hosts in my it's crazy. It first started me and my boy Randy at his pad. And I remember when we first started, I was nervous as shit. I remember getting I remember thinking are people even gonna want to come on? What if they say no? And I was like, fuck, I need to ask people to come on 8 weeks in advance. I need to book 8 weeks worth of people. Otherwise, I don't know if I could talk them in time. And what if a week rolls by and I don't have anyone and I can't get anyone because no one wants to come on? And then what do we do? And I remember this is shit that I worried about at the time. And so I was nervous. No one would care. No one would come on. People why would I do that? Not realizing it was easy peasy, lemon squeezy to get people on. And then also I was nervous as shit. What if it's a dud? What if I got nothing to say? Or what if they got nothing to say and I'm run out of questions? So I would research and write down so many questions and write down it was wild, man, which is now I just don't even know what it's like to hop on the podcast and before be nervous. Like
Right,
now I'm like,
right.
you do it every week for years, every week, every month for years. And you're like, yeah, I got a podcast today. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever, we'll get ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it is what
Yeah.
it is. It's so, and it's not that I don't care. It's like, I love it. I love a good conversation. And like, I have topics I want to ask them. And I might make notes, like I got to make sure, because I can get off topic. Got to make sure I want to hit a certain topics, because if they come on and off, the only reason I'm doing it now is if they come on and off and certain people have expectations of, fuck man, you had Perk on and you didn't ask him about, you know what I mean? It's,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I don't want to do that.
Right.
However, I hop on now, man, and I'll free flow it. In my confidence in conversational skills, you fellas probably after years, here's something the podcast I'm gonna give you. After years of sitting down every week with somebody you don't know, and I've heard you boys, you guys can talk, man. You guys can keep a conversation going. You guys can, you know how to actively listen and do follow-up questions the whole nine, which is
Which
all
is a
about.
skill, actually doing that, to be listening and
100%.
thinking of the next thing you're going to say.
Yeah, it's hard.
How much better have you gotten over the years? Like when I first started,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I was good, but my confidence level now in terms of like meeting people in life, I'm like, sit down, let's talk. I can keep it going, man. I've done 3 hours with someone I just met.
Yeah,
You know, from across the world.
for sure. And we prep to a certain degree. Like we want to have a list of things. Like we'll see where the conversation goes, and maybe we don't get to half of them, maybe we get to all of them, maybe we don't. But it's like it's almost like a fallback list, you know, because
right,
you don't know what some of the people are like. Just like you're talking about, some people are not that comfortable speaking. They don't elaborate very much on it. You got to pull it out of them. So it is kind of nice to just have this easy reference of things you could go to if you need to. So we do it for that basically the same thing you're saying, but just thinking about it, talking about it here, it is really a funny thing socially. Like if we didn't have this podcast, it would be such an odd thing if every week you're like, yep, here's
talk
this
to
dude.
a stranger for 2 hours and see where it goes.
Here's this dude or this chick. I've never met him in person. Maybe had just like a tiny limited interaction over social media. Let's sit down and chat for an hour, or, you know, it just would be, it would be, so, you know, it is like second nature at this time, but it would be such an odd thing otherwise.
I've actually never thought of it that way, and that is, it is really funny when you actually think of it. I mean, that's what it is, and it is funny when you think of it that way.
Look, I talk to like, what do I got in common? Being my age in Canada, and I talk to some girl in Sweden, half my age, and it's like, we got nothing in common. We grew up like we got nothing in common, and we're gonna sit down and talk for like 3 hours. It's like if I'm meeting someone new now, and it's like, this is nothing. I'll be able to talk. This is nothing. You do it all the time. You know how to talk, and it is a skill, man. It's funny how some people say this generation has got less communication skills, but I don't know. If everybody's got freaking podcasts, I bet you they're talking a lot. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it's maybe just
yeah.
different communication skills at times too. It's just a different way of communicating in general with social media, podcasts, all that. It's just, it is different. I mean, going to places like the Arnold or Expos or different events that we're at through the year, we get to then meet these people that we've never actually met in person before, but even seeing them that first time in person, it's not like meeting them for the first time. It's like, oh yeah, we're buddies. We know each, you know,
Yeah,
it's
it feels
we've
like
got
you're
this
catching
connection.
up. Yeah, like you've always known each other.
You know, it's crazy. I just had like Perk on again, like Austin Perkins. And I remember I saw him at Powerlifting America Nationals for like 2 seconds. I was just about to go live and commentate, and seeing him out the corner of my eye, he rolls up and he's like, "Hey, 6." And I'm like, "Oh," and I was like, shook his hand, and he's like, "I'll let you do your thing. We'll talk afterwards." And I never saw him. And then when I had him on the podcast, like we've talked so much in DMs. I've had him on the podcast several times over years. And I was like, "Perk, was that the only time we've ever seen each other face to face?" He's like, yeah. For 2 seconds, my friend. For 2 seconds. I'm like, that's it. Period in the whole life. And I feel like I know this guy. Like you see him on social media. You see like when he's got a new girlfriend, what he's doing in life. Oh, he's coaching now. Good for you. Just talk to him on DMs. How is that going? Whatever. It's crazy, but you don't know, you barely see these people in real life. And to your point too, I've had people come up to me, listen to the podcast, whom I haven't talked to in the podcast. Like they're not guests. and I didn't see their face. I don't know. I've never even clicked on their profile to take a look. I was just shooting shit with them because they messaged. I happened to message back, and we just talk about whatever. And then every now and then, when they hear a podcast, they'll be like, "Yo, come in with some comments." I'll comment back, and then when I finally meet him face to face, I'm like, dude, I had no idea we even looked like this whole
Yeah.
like, I had no idea. I'm like, oh, that's you. Oh
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
That's the classic one is you don't know what they look like. They say your name and you still don't know. And then you're like, what's your handle?
Instagram handle?
Yeah, what's your handle? And they're like, okay. Yeah, we've known you for years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, could you carry a little circle around about like this size of your profile picture and then be like, oh yeah, I recognize seeing that little dot all the time.
Exactly.
Do you have anyone that comes to your mind? You've had a lot of people on, interviewed a lot of people, but anyone, could you say anyone is a favorite guest you've ever had on King of the Lifts? Anything like that? I know that's a hard question. People ask us that sometimes.
Yeah, Frank, I would say, okay. I mean, favorite guest is tough. I got reoccurring guests that I love having on. Lately, me and Gavin Aiden have been like murdering with podcasts, and he had one recently that just totally blew up, and everybody started sharing it. And but like Gavin's a big one, like Taylor Atwood. Kids, come on, when he did 838.5, and just like destroyed all the different formulas that you know to find who's pound for pound, and just destroyed the world record. And then he came on. He was dropping soundbite after my man was not just peaked physically, fellas, but soundbite wise, he was on form. And that podcast blew up. And I mean, we've had a ball every time he's come on as well. I mean, freaking it's tough to say for sure, because even when I look through history, like, I mean, Steffi Cohen's not even a powerlifter anymore, but she was good back in the day. And I've had some like doozies too, where people come on, like Jonathan Keiko's come on and talked about some like deep shit. Like, here's the thing. Here's what I've noticed. If I have a co-host, the mood will be different than if it's just me one-on-one with somebody. And if it's just me one-on-one with somebody, even though there's thousands of people who are going to listen to it afterwards, feels different in the moment.
Yeah.
And I've gone to some crazy places with people. Like, even Taylor came on, and like some people get like full on emotional, open up and talk about their background, about some crazy background stories. I talked to Taylor Atwood for like, I first met him 2016 at Worlds, and we did a podcast shortly afterwards, and we've been ever since. And in 2023, and he's done like, I don't even know how many podcasts with me. In 2023, he came on and is like, I'm ready to tell my background story. I'm like, what's your background story? And then he opened up, and it was like, my dudes, I don't know if you heard it, but so we go like 3 hours deep. And these are some crazy conversations where, like, I don't know, man, it changes you. It is humbling that someone like would open up to you like that. There's something else that's changed with King of the Lifts. So in terms of, to double back to your question before I deviate, not sure who my favorite one is to think about. Like, that's a tough one. I probably would have like a top 5 Gavin Taylor in there. What about you guys? Have you guys had Gavin Aiden, Taylor Atwood yet?
No. So that kind of goes to my next question too. We'll get to that, but who talking your wish list, who you haven't got on that you would really like to get on. Like Taylor's one of those ones that we for sure would like to get on at some point in time that we haven't. But I kind of answer the who's your favorite in the same way what you did. That's impossible. I sometimes lean to the guys just that I have this connection that I started following when I first got into lifting, and so like 2006, 2007, 2008, it was like T-Nation and Elite FTS. So it's like Dave Tate, Jim Wendler, Derek Poundstone, some of these people that I just like my first ever lifting exposure, because it's just almost surreal. Then, 15 years later, we're getting them on to take the time to come on our podcast and to just chat with us and that they want to do that. There's just something to that I just it's always cool to me. I'm like, this dude that when I was 20 years old, a dumbass, just clueless, didn't know what I was doing. I was reading this guy's article and now they're coming on our podcast. So someone like that, like a Dave Tate, that's one that sticks out to me. But I I don't know. It's like an impossible question.
It is. It's like a hard question. And it is those guys that have that legend status that I think have that, in your mind, you've had years and years to build them up to be this big thing. Where now so many of the people we have on, like it just feels like, we're not peers from a lifting standpoint, but it feels like, we're peers. We're kind of all in the industry in some way or another. We kind of all get what's going on. So it doesn't have quite that same allure of like, oh, you were like almost pre-internet. Like you're like a whole different monster than the rest of us.
Right.
So essentially the pre-social media dudes are the ones that impact you the most when they come on, like the legendary status like that.
Yes, that's what I would say.
And I don't even know if they're better conversations, but I think they just have that allure of like, there's something different here. Because talking social media, like Jessica Bittner, every time she's on, that's like an awesome one. She's a ton of fun. We have a great time with her. There's just like tons of, newer people that come up and we love having them on the podcast and they always do great, but it's just a different feeling going into those ones versus, some of these older guys.
Man, let me tell you a real quick story. You guys know, obviously, Bill Kazmaier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've interviewed Bill a couple times before, so not as a full podcast, just short, like 5-10 minute interviews. Talk about sound bites. In these 5-10 minute interviews, we get some of the wildest sound bites from Bill Kazmaier. But go ahead.
No kidding, man. Yeah, no, I totally can see that.
Yes.
So the first year I'm commentating. And fellas, when I was commentating at the World Championships, I had never, ever commentated before in my life. This is, I snuck in on this shit, and it'll never happen again.
What did happen? Well, you hadn't commentated before, so how did you become? How did you get that role?
This is how it happened. This is kind of wild, and you guys could probably appreciate how wild this would be. Being like you've been in podcasts and done all this thing and done all these expos, etc. So I'm doing. I know social media. I'm running King of Lists, and I approach the IPF. I shot Gaston Parage, the president, an email saying, "I think I could help you guys with your social media." And Gaston's like, and I noticed on the IPF Instagram at the time, they hadn't posted like 6 weeks. I'm like, something's got to be done here. Now this is 2016 range. Right. So people here 6 weeks. It wasn't as crazy at the time, but still, I'm like, I could do some things. Let me help you out. And he was like, and I told him my background. Like I've done reality TV and done like speaking tours and I'm media trained the whole nine. That's another story altogether. But this is before I got onto this. So I gave him my background. I was like, this is all I've done. I could do this. So then he shot an email saying, this is Ryan Lapadat, and he's now a member of their media team. And he just shot it to the media team, all CC. And I'm like, holy shit. So now I'm running the Instagram page and King List at the same time. And I'm blowing up the IPF Instagram page. Like I'm posting daily and we're getting like, we're murdering. The John Hack, Brett Gibbs showdowns going down in the summer of 2016 at the IPF Worlds. You guys know how legendary John Hack versus Brett Gibbs was. And I am just murdering on social media, hyping the shit out of the showdown. And no showdowns had ever been hyped like that on social media. And I know because like you guys know because we were around, but the IPF wasn't doing it before I grabbed it. None of the federations were doing it, right? And the IPF was the biggest, or is the biggest. So I'm hyping the shit out of it as we're getting closer and closer. And every time like Brett does something like a squat, John does a squat, and I'm reposting them like, who do you guys think's gonna win? And blah, 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 right? And then an email goes out saying, who wants to commentate at IPF Worlds? We need commentators to the media team. Now, these are just like random people on the media team. This is before commentary had leveled up. Okay. So I'm like, can't be this fucking easy. I'm going to get vetted. Not in a minute. And I'm like, email back. Yeah, I'll do it. And then they were like, all right. We'll buy you plane tickets, hotel and everything. And we'll see you there. I'm like,
all right. Yeah.
And so I fly in, and this is Killeen, Texas, and I'm meeting like some of the media team members. And the one dude, I remember we were like, it's like 2 days before. So we're getting some groceries at the grocery store because he can be there for like, at the time, all the masters, all the juniors, and then the open. It was like 12 days long. So when I hear people saying, had a long weekend, man, 3 days of commentating, like, that's cute, Playboy. I did 12 straight. People who are 75 years old, then 13-year-olds, and then finally the open 2 weeks in. So anyways, so we're at the grocery store, and one of the guys like, so with the other commentator who's been around the block a little bit, he's like, so how long you been how many times you commentated before? And I'm like, this will be the first one. And he's like, no. I mean, like, this is your first world championships. I mean, how many times have you commentated at the nationals, for instance? You're from Canada. How many times you commentated Canadian nationals? I never commentated Canadian nationals. All right. You from, where you from in Canada? Ontario. How many times you commentated the provincials? Ontario provincials. Not provincials neither. Okay. How many times you commentated a local meet? How many times you commentated? I'm like, dog, I ain't never commentated before in my life. I'm scared shitless, and I don't know what's about to happen tomorrow. And he's like, oh my God. So he gives me a crash course on what the lead does, what the co does, all the different things that you're supposed to do as a commentator. And man, day two, fellas, they tell me, Ryan, you're doing good. I think we're going to have you lead. Now, if you don't know commentary, the lead is by far the more critical role. The lead is your play-by-play. If you watch boxing and MMA, I'm a boxing MMA guy. It is Joe Rogan is like, he's not the lead. He's the color commentator.
Right.
John Anik is the lead. And Joe Rogan will be like, I could never lead. I could never be the lead. I'm never going to be the play-by-play. It's such a harder job. It's not even crazy. It's all on you. And the other guy just adds in tidbits when he needs to add in tidbits. Day two, ever. And they're like, I think we're going to have you lead today for one session. I'm like, all right. But in my mind, I'm like, holy shit. But I'm on the surface. I'm like, sounds good. Who's my co? And the guy goes, Bill Kazma. I'm at the World Championships, day two. I'm leading him.
Yeah.
I'm leading him. He's going to follow me. And I'm like, this isn't real. I'm having a full-blown panic attack, man. Yeah, it was crazy, man, by the experience I had. So in terms of what you guys are talking about, being awestruck and feeling some nervousness when you had those early podcasts, meeting those legends, that was the worst. That was like, I couldn't even fully appreciate it at the time. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
God, man. Yeah.
So how did it go with Bill?
I mean, he didn't know nothing. He didn't know nothing in terms of me being new. He couldn't tell. At least he didn't let me know. Maybe he was like, God damn, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Maybe he was just being nice. Yeah. And I remember too, it was hilarious. At one point, Bill brought up Ed Cohen on the IPF live media stream. But like, my man's going there, isn't he? He's going for it. But yeah, it is what it is. It's Bill. And then by the time, and this was like in the Masters division, and then by the time the juniors came around, and then the Open, and then we get to Hack Gibbs, I was warmed up. I'd already been like, that was like day like 7, 8. For some people, that's like, 4 weekends of commentating. I just crunched it all in one. I sharpened my teeth in a week straight, 3 sessions a day. I was ready. And we murdered it. That was a good one. Johnny Candido jumped in for that. John Hack Gibbs with me.
Yeah.
It was wild, man.
It's funny. This is just a specific thing that not on our list here, but talking about Bill doing it, and bringing up Ed, and everyone knows, that Ed's got this ban, and there's this thing like you stay away from Ed Cohen and the IPF and stuff like that. But what about Bill? I don't know that he's ever banned from the IPF or anything, but he talks very openly about like drug use stuff over the years, but it's just there's no ban there, so it's not. He's not taboo in that way. Do you think, or?
I don't know. I don't know exactly, because, I mean, it predates me when it was happening. Right. Obviously, I like like everyone knows what it is now, but I don't know, like, because it was well, first off, I think because Bill, yeah, for sure didn't like fail any tests, but you could fail a
Right.
test and come back. You could fail a test, serve your time, and come back. So it's not even necessarily that. And they've had like, Zydrunas Savickas, multiple
Right.
time world's strongest man. He's been around and has done a lot of work. Like, I interviewed him at 2017 Worlds because he was there. He was at Sheffield as like a guest. So it's
right.
there's more to it. I think it was multiple suspensions and bans, and then I can't remember if there was like if things ever went to court and things got ugly. I'm not sure. There's more to the story. It predates me, and I think Ed's got a book. I never read it, but there's more to it though, and I don't know full on it about
Yeah.
it. So
that wasn't
Yeah.
part of
Yeah.
announcer school, was giving you the full Ed
that's right.
history.
There's one thing that there's one thing that it did not bring up. It's guys,
Yeah.
let's get into that. And still haven't, but yeah, I'm not sure, man. It's an interesting question.
What about anyone on your wish list for a guest on the podcast that you haven't gotten that you would really, if you could pick one person that you'd love to get on there and haven't yet? Anyone?
Yeah. I mean, thank you. I mean, well, you know what? You know, it was a tough cookie to crack to get on, and I always was trying to get him on. The boss, Dan Green. He is not a podcast type of dude.
No.
Super not a social media type of dude. Super introverted. He was the man at one point. I know you fellas know you from that generation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And everybody was like, do you realize people would tell him in his YouTube, he just posts like a 90-second YouTube of him deadlifting with nothing, no captions, the background. He didn't even have a background in his YouTube channel. It was like so like people in the comments were like, do you know what you could do if you just got anybody to help you out with social media? And I remember trying to like messaging him, but like he didn't even see the messages. He doesn't
Like
even
he
know.
follows
like,
one person on, or is like he kind of follows nobody on social media, and
he just like I don't even know if he even knew I was trying to get him on. And I'm not in the untested world, so I wouldn't see him face to face to ask him.
Right.
Maybe if you built up a rapport because you saw him around, he was definitely one dude. People like Larry Wheels, I never got him on. Chatted a little bit in DMs, but never had him on the podcast. That'd be an interesting one, although he's, segued away from powerlifting.
Right.
The guys like Hathor and Eddie Hall, those would be some big, those are some big whales to reel in. Had Sebastian Hathor's coach on. He was a phenomenal guest, and the stories he had. He's an amazing storyteller. He's very charismatic. So I should probably have him on again. I'm thinking about it. He's another good. See, when I get asked my favorite guest, you almost forget because you've done it for so many people.
Yeah, you do forget.
And then you're like,
problem.
he was good.
Yeah.
Like he was 2018. That was 5 years ago, man. That's half a decade. You forget. You're like, he was good.
You probably appreciate his look too.
He's a good-looking guy, huh? Yeah, man. He's a lot more jacked. He's jacked up. Yeah. How about you guys? Who would you like to have on the wish list?
I think those ones you mentioned are
I
all
mean,
good
like
ones.
all
really.
the big strong men, like those would all.
Brian
be
Shaw is like one that I
Brian
think
Shaw,
would be great. We haven't. He's not easily accessible, like in that way. It's funny, like the different levels of how you can get a hold of someone. And granted, we got enough connections, enough people that are good friends with him that we've had on that it's like we could call in favors, but I don't really like to call in favors that way. I like to get the connection ourselves built somehow and then go from there. So Brian's been one that we haven't been able to make that happen with. For a long time, it was our thing like that Candido wouldn't come on with us.
I know. I remember you guys posted that. I remember. That was hilarious. And then,
we finally wore him down and had it on. So it's funny, but that almost kind of like, it was almost like we didn't want to have him on because it was going to ruin the shtick of not being able to get him on and like lose this thing that we like to talk about.
We ruined this joke. We're one less joke every week we can do now.
I know. I know. Yeah.
I think the Brian we've gotten to interview Hathor in person a couple times, but not a full podcast. And but yeah, Brian, Eddie, I don't know, Tommy, anything else?
I just thinking of other ones off the top of my head, like Juji Mufu. We've been wanting to get him for a while.
And we talked to we'll probably make that happen at some
Yeah.
point. Some of these we think we will make happen. It's just timing and when and where.
Another one of the classic guys, Kurt Kowalski, getting him on would be a pretty big deal too.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
You would have stories.
Oh, I'd love to just talk, it's just to pick his brain would be fun, like to get some candid feedback from him on stuff.
What do you guys like? Do you guys like this? Have you guys had Mitch Hooper?
No, he's
I-
another one we'd love to have though.
I listened to your episode with him though, and that's really good. And he would definitely he's definitely one we should get. We would love to get on sometime too.
He's a really good guest, like talker, and very.
good.
I mean, if you heard that episode,
I did. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
He could talk. He'll joke around. He's got stories. He's a charismatic dude. I've had a lot of guys on. Pritchett Big Laws. Like I've had some strongman on, and they're usually pretty good because they've done a lot of media. The big thing is like sometimes, if you've done a lot of media, like I remember because I was on a reality TV show, and sometimes if you're media trained, it's a little different, and sometimes you want to get them open to past that point.
You can tell those guys, you can tell those guys that have done their sales pitch, done their media training, because they want to get on their track of this is my script and I do it. And you try to pull them off it and they start going, but then they jump right back on it again. You're like, no, let's keep this organic, man.
To be honest, Stan Efferding is the king of, we've had Stan on before.
Say that. I was just about to say that. I was going to cut Tommy off, and I was like, Stan Efferding. I can't wait. As soon as he's done talking, I'm going to say, my man jumped in. Dog, I had him on. I'm like, it turned it into an infomercial. God bless him. And I'm like, damn it.
He knows what he's doing.
He does. He does.
He definitely knows what he's doing. And some people just have their stories that they're going to tell no matter what. And I don't know, to be fair, some people like Ed, for example, he's been on so many. We got to ask him some of the same questions that we've heard other people ask him though, because it's just like, we got some people that are listening that maybe haven't heard him in those other outlets before. So we got to ask him those things too. And, but yeah, Stan 100%. Is the king of, nope, let's bring it right back here, back to the vertical diet. All right.
I know, man. And that's where, it's this. I've had some people on and kind of turn it into infomercial sessions or even or they don't fully just kind of just relax and be themselves, which I get it. Sometimes we can't take for granted the fact that we talk all the damn time like this. So it's easy for us, where some people, maybe it's the way of wearing a mask, right? And feeling safe is kind of getting in that mode, but it's easy once they just shoot the shit like you're talking. Just talk like you're talking. It's easier than you think. But yeah.
We did have one guest. I'm not going to name names on this one, but that did manage to straight up turn it into an infomercial. And Tommy and I got done with that one, and we were like, that's not what we wanted to achieve here today. But there was just no way around it. Like it was just gonna happen that way. And sometimes there's a lot of variety. It's of personalities, and just a lot of different ways that people handle it. Have you ever had any yourself that you thought that didn't go that well? Like you get done, and you're like, that's not what I hoped for here today.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, first off, yes, the Stan Efferding one kind of turned into an infomercial, unfortunately. And he had notes that he was looking at for that he wanted to make sure he hit and everything. And I was like, damn it, Playboy, this could have been so good. If you just, if we just talked. But he's a legend, man.
Yeah.
He doesn't owe me. He doesn't owe me nothing. I got no. If I saw him, I'd be fanboying. It is what
for
it
sure.
is. I don't care.
That's why I think in his case, it's okay to name the name, because it's just like people get it, and he's still awesome. Like he's doing that, and he's still
a legend.
Good. Yeah,
he's a legend. If I saw him, I'd be like, oh my, couldn't care less if come on the platform and do your damn thing. I did have someone. I had another one where I remember telling them ahead of time, you don't want this to turn into an infomercial. I won't name names either, but I'm like, trust me, you got to play this like conversational and keep it loose. And, if you're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about, because everyone's got a service product, coaching, diet, whatever the hell. And again, it's some people turn into presentation mode, and they don't realize when you give a presentation, everything dies after that. Literally people will just be like, and they're out. It's not what people came for. And then you're stuck with And I don't know how often this has happened to you fellas, where you're like, all right, I'm gonna put this out because like some of these people, might be your boys, and you're like, all right, I said I was going to whatever. But at the same time, you're in the back of your mind like, this is not what I do. I'm not like a part of this product or anything. And I realize certain people are going to mention the products, but at the same time, you don't want your platform to turn into an infomercial for everybody or people to start thinking it's going to or whatever. And that's never been what King of Lifts is. It just isn't. It's got to be like we do stories and get into debates and like just it's for real conversation. I don't care. I always will ask guests before I let them go or at some point be like, do you have
Right.
coaching you want to shout out? Do you
Right.
whatever? Or even if during in the conversation you want to segue, drop in, oh, by the way, bang, bang, boom. But it's got to be conversation like, what do you get out of coaching? What do you get out of this diet? Let's talk about dieting. Then why do you do it like this? It's got to be real. It's got to be real. What's amazing is Lane Norton. He's a dude. First off, he was like big in powerlifting for like way back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
Yeah, he was huge. Yeah.
and he's since then like been on Joe Rogan and is cultivated, like he's still in the Masters now, winning world titles, doing his damn thing, and is now like more than just like an athlete. He's like obviously a social media. Well, he always was, even back then. What am I talking about? But anyways, ended up having him on the podcast. He knows exactly how to have a real conversation, and this is how it was done. Make people like you, and you could let them know about your shit. And then when you have products to talk about, they're gonna come. But if you come on and you're like bang, bang, boom, and you're coming through everything, it's like it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be more difficult, right? And Lane also, by the way, is another guy that for years knew about him ahead of time. And then he'd reached out in DMs because he was started listening to the podcast. I'm like, oh, fuck, Lane listens to the podcast. Holy
Yeah.
shit. And then Lane Norton at a time when like the podcast was like, we were talking earlier, like the sound quality was for King of This was hot garbage. You go back, I'm like, God, I can't believe what we were doing back then. And I remember this is when you like Lane. My point is Lane is a real one. He reached out to me in the DMs. I didn't know him from nothing. And he was like, listen, I like the podcast. I believe in what you're doing. I know the sound quality is an issue. I'm not, hopefully you don't take that the wrong way. Take it as constructive criticism. He goes, just as somebody who appreciates what you do for the sport and with like King of Lifts, reposting, commentary, whatever, because he sees the live streams. He's like, just with appreciation from that, he's like, I will personally help fund and help buy equipment or whatever. And you don't got to give me a shout out. You don't got to give me nothing. That's just between me and you don't got to tell nobody it ever happened. And I didn't tell that story for like 5 years. I never told nobody that story. Like Lane just reached out and like, I'll just fucking let me know. And I couldn't take his money. I was like, Lane, I can't do it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I can't do this. Not like this though. And that is the thing, but dude. So then when I end up meeting Lane, like we're hanging out, we're like going out for dinner. He's like, I'm in Toronto. He's got a seminar. And that was just like earlier this year. We've been talking to DMT, been on the podcast a couple of times, but we'd never met in person. He's like, I'm in Toronto. I know you're around there. Let's link up. Like, say less. I showed up at a seminar. He's got me tickets. We went out for dinner and drinks. We're hanging out all weekend. Then when we're doing PA Nats, SPD's like, we could use another commentator. I'm like, I know a fucking guy.
Yeah.
They fly in, Lane Norton, we're doing it all over again. And he's like, for real, you're hanging out with this dude. Like he actually is a good guy. You're like, he lived up. He's actually, they say like sometimes you meet somebody that let you down. Like, man, this dude like will live up. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I got off topic, but
No, that's good. Before we forget about it, IPF Worlds, it's coming up really soon, right? Like, are you about ready to get on a plane here one of these days?
In like half an hour. No joking. Yeah, man, it's I'm any minute. No, man, it's right around the corner. I'm freaking. It's insane. Like when I first started IPF World Commentary in 2016. What it looked like and what we were doing is so not the same as what's happening right now. When I first started watching powerlifting, gentlemen, I remember my boy was in the Arnold Classic and there wasn't a live stream. There was a scorecard and I would hit the refresh button and I could see if his squat went green or red. And that's what I was watching. You know what I mean? Like that was what my stream was around 2010, 11. And then when I started in 2016, the quality of streams, and I told you the commentary, you just kind of pulling people in to now looking at this IPF Worlds, they're telling me, like, first off, like the commentators, we get flown in, but now we're like paid commentator, and you don't like you would nobody can just come in. You have to audition, do smaller shows, etc. Far more high level. And the IPF World team now is like they're bringing it. They're on Eurosport. They're bringing in staff from Eurosport to also help run it. At the end of every day, they want me to have like a show where I'm on a couch doing recap analysis, working with the Eurosport guys, going to do athlete interviews. And Eurosport's got like 8 million people over there. Like they're like the ESPN over there in Europe. And man, it's crazy. It's crazy what the level that IPF Worlds has gotten to. Sheffield definitely helped with people wanting to level up on it. And I think it's Sheffield's impact. What do you guys think it is when you see the roster of IPF Worlds? It is the biggest IPF Raw Worlds we've ever seen. Biggest IPF Worlds, period. It's nuts how stacked it is. The divisions are like got so many lifters. It's nuts. What do you attribute this to? What the heck is going on?
Oh boy, I don't, is part of it playing catch up from COVID years? Like, are people, finally they got everything together, like the world's feeling like it's more open and they're playing catch up. I think that's part of it. I definitely think the Sheffield, that didn't hurt either. The attention that got was crazy, and they put on a great show. The presentation, everything was A+ there. So, I mean, I guess those would be the two obvious factors to me, probably.
Yeah, what do you say? You're more in the know than we are, so what do you say?
I don't know about that. You guys know a lot too, but I would say, I don't know, man. If I get a temperature of the room, I think the COVID thing is a thing as well, where people are like, let's go. Also, I do think Sheffield's got people energized and wanting to be a part of. I realize like only like the world champions are going to go to Sheffield in a couple of wild cards, but the popularization of the sport ups participation. Yeah, that's what it is.
Even and the depth now, like there's always been outstanding athletes, but the depth is getting to be really crazy now at every level. Like that's, there's exciting things. There's not just, that's the one guy that's going to win it. Okay. We know that there's like battles going on,
That's the biggest issue that hurts in the untested. The depth isn't as deep. Like you don't have like people 1 through like 5, anyone can win it in the same weight class. So you have to do like money meets where there's like formulas, etc., which is still good. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times it's going to be like, I'm tuning in to watch what's John Hack going to do? What's Jamal going to pull? Like whatever the hell, what's Joe Sullivan going to squat? Whatever, it's not like at 5 guys, same weight class, 5 girls, same weight class. Here's one thing that powerlifting's got that most sports don't. We watch women's division of powerlifting, and that makes us so much stronger because it like almost doubles our size. Like it's not quite parity 50-50, but if you're a basketball fan, watching WNBA Playboy, don't lie to me. I
think it's factual. Nobody's watching the WNBA, like I think the numbers prove that.
And or like hockey, baseball, like whatever. That like football, whether it's American football or freaking soccer football, the numbers, it's not supported in the women's divisions. UFC it is. UFC 100% it is, and you could be a star and sell pay-per-views. And powerlifting 100%, and not just the women. If the women's sports fans watched hockey, they would have more than enough. There's more than enough women in the world to support hockey, basketball. They don't even to convert men to buying in on it. But it's not even just the women watching powerlifting. The men will be like, who's going to win, the battle of the 57s, the 52s. It's like we have preview shows and we're hot in it. Like that helps us. And that helps make these world championships this stacked. And also, I think this is something, Tommy, that I think is a factor. So powerlifting, we kind of take for granted North American culture is gym culture, and women in North America are smashing weights. I think in some nations it was lagging behind a little bit by a few years and is now catching up. So now the culture is like women squatting, bench pressing, and deadlifting to us for years is like, yeah, no shit. Certain parts of the world it wasn't, and it took a while to catch up and start breaking those stigmas. And now that they are globally, you take a look at France, Sweden, Italy on the women's side, stacked killers. they're coming in, and I think that's greatly helping as well. So I think the women's division and the popularization in the men's division is still going up. I just don't know when we're going to reach our crescendo. And it's like we're tapped out. We're not going to get much bigger.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are we at the top of the bubble? Or?
That's yeah. I mean, is this the peak? Is the peak in 5 years, or does it just keep steadily growing over the next decade? I don't know what that is.
I don't know. A lot of times I think we are actually getting close. You know, I know there's like everyone, we've had the conversation so many times with so many people about what needs to be done to take powerlifting to the next level.
But we're also usually saying that in the context of American fans.
Right.
And I forget when you start talking about like, oh yeah, women's sports are playing catch up in other parts of the world, or they're gaining popularity. Right. I forget that that's a whole thing because we just get so used to our little American bubble. Right. And you forget there's a whole world out there still.
Yeah. The context of IPF worlds is a different conversation too than what a lot of times the way it's framed for us. But sometimes I do start to think, I don't know. It's just, I don't know that anyone's doing anything wrong or anything needs to be done differently. I think it is what it is to a certain degree. And you just take the small victories, or not even small, but you take the victories like Sheffield. I'm like, that's what is going to grow. You know, that's what's making it a bigger deal, is like people coming in and backing it that way, like SPD is, and turning into that. But, I guess I'm never under the opinion that powerlifting is going to be like something way beyond what it is now. I mean, it can continue to grow and get better and better, but
because we do talk about that too with especially on the untested side. There's been a few people that have stepped up over the last few years, and you know, there's those premier meets in America as far as untested goes. You know, what's there? Probably 4 or 5 of them on the calendar for the year.
Yeah, the Pro Virginia one coming up soon. Yeah.
You know, there's and there's been the Kern and the Showdown, and you know, there's a few different ones, and you know, every few years 1 or 2 of them drops out and 1 or 2 more adds in. But it kind of feels like it's just been the status quo for a while. Like it feels, I don't know if I'd feel like it's saying like at that level things are blowing up or slowing down. It just kind of feels like they're staying about even. And I don't know, maybe that's just the way. Maybe that's where that is. Maybe that is tapped out. I'm not sure.
Well, okay. So let me give my 2 cents then.
Yeah.
You're right. You're definitely right in terms of like, yeah, you got the American Pro, and they're like, I totally know what you mean in terms of the untested. It's kind of been like waves coming up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Some come in, some come out, popularize, and then they come out, reshape, rebrand, come back. And it's kind of like it doesn't feel like there's major differences. I do think so with Sheffield, the announcement, first off, Sheffield was so big. I'm not a big sports guy. The other sports I watch is MMA and boxing. I'm listening to MMA and boxing podcasts, and it gets referenced. Sheffield got referenced. And they're like, did you see what that guy Jesus Oliveras did at that event called Sheffield? And they were like, because Jesus Oliveras in the IPF out-totaled everybody in untested, ever, just period. And it's like, it's a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. Like he's the strongest powerlifter we've ever seen. Ever. It's incredible. And he's like 24. So then you start being like, oh my God, what happens when he's 25, 26? Like he's not even close yet. So it's very exciting. And then, so then there's Sheffield. And then you see SPD now is like, that was year 1. And this is how the buzz that happened. SPD's now already increased the payouts by 22%. And people like, I forget the money now, but we're talking like 50K or something like possible, like in one day, like that's where people are going to start getting excited. In the event itself, Sheffield already, like in terms of the budget for production and everything's going up. It's significantly their ideas, and I can't say too much because obviously I'm part of the program and I'm privy to some information that they haven't put out yet, but I can just tell you fellas, the lead up and some of the projects that's going to happen with SPD is good. And then the actual event itself is like what you saw the first year Sheffield is like the warm-up room. The platform is going to come out on year 2. And then year 3, we're talking, there's already another leveling up, but a big one that awaits. We have to knock out the park the next one, and it's a big, like this thing is getting big. So in terms of Sheffield's impact. 100% people are watching that being, I got to get involved. Even if I can't make it as far as Sheffield, it makes you excited. It makes you like, I want to be a part of this sport. Then on top of that, if you guys know the World Games, multi-sport event, people all over the world come to it. And like they got, I mean, it's IOC recognized. It's every 4 years, just like the Olympics. And they take games like baseball, golf from the World Games to the Olympics. And then sometimes they go back to the World Games and like 3-on-3 basketball, shit like that, right? And powerlifting's in that. And for a long time, people didn't really super care. For a long time, the IPF was only equipped. When it went raw, it exploded. The World Games has only ever been equipped.
Right.
Again, I can't say too much because I get in trouble for saying too much. Fellas, imagine the World Games goes raw. Imagine the kaboom. Well, I mean, you know, and I'm not saying nothing. There's no major, I'm not announcing anything officially, but I'm just saying. So there's a lot of things in the future coming down the pipeline. And then you couple that with like, everyone's like, oh my God, the women in France are just murdering it right now. Like, I mean, they're going to beat the Americans and continue to beat the Americans. It's insane. Other nations are coming just like that because of popularization around the globe. It's the strength of the global mass. Usually, previously, it was just the U.S. You know, you fellows are like, oh, we're just thinking about the U.S. Yeah, but U.S. was like 80%. Where there's untested or tested. Like they always won men's and women's in the raw, and for untested, it was mostly, you know, I mean, there's people outside the U.S. for sure, but it was very much in the U.S. It's not the case now, and that makes powerlifting stronger because there's far more participants. So then the money and sponsorships blows up. So, and then you get events like Sheffield. So I think, and I'm an eternal optimist, I think the next like 5 years are going to be pretty bonkers from what I know. From what I know that's coming down the pipeline. And then also I know things about Eurosport. Like obviously Eurosport's big. There's like 8 million people watching and what they want to do with it and what they're doing production wise. Sheffield brought people in. Eurosport will do the same. It's like casting a net, but I also know other things are going to happen. So, and I can't say too much. So, but powerlifting's getting bigger. We're not there yet. We're not crescendoed yet. We're still on the rise. How far?
That's good. I hope
peak,
so. That's good news for all of us. You know, like that's what.
Yeah, man.
We live at, so that's what we want. How about this for a question? Do you think the split IPF USAPL split that went on, is that good for the sport or bad for the sport?
Gotta be bad.
Yeah.
100%. The dilution of the talent pool is never good. Like for instance, we were so spoiled for so long in the tested division when everybody goes nationals, worlds, and we get our clashes.
Yeah.
Nationals, worlds, we get our clashes. Can you imagine John Hack and Brett Gibbs never clashed, or Brett Gibbs and Russell Orhe never clashed, or whoever, you know, fill it in, man. They just never clashed because one guy's in the US and now they're not coming. Like, obviously you could like, it's not just like you got people coming over to PA and going off, but still we're not big enough to split like this. Like in the untested, that was one of the biggest sticking points. And then Kern came along that kind of united people briefly. And that's what made Kern so special is, oh shit, you got an event that'll bring everybody under one umbrella. For a little while when I first got into powerlifting, I think it was the WPC that was the big untested fed. It was the their world championships was the big one. I think it was them. And they had an amateur arm and then a pro arm. Pro arm was untested. But there wasn't like, for a long time, it wasn't like, can we get everybody at the same time at the same event? And if you're in the same weight class, you're clashing, and then you clash for best lifter. And that fell apart. And then untested kind of had multiple different events. And you just hope people were like all ended up under the same one at one point. We had our big showdowns. Happened at Kern, then that fell apart. So when that shit happened with USAPL and IPF, division's not good, man. Let's see everybody clash.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, that to me was that is the best thing about tested powerlifting is you had this like actual sports style like playoff. Like you got to perform at these levels. You don't just get invited to the one big meet and say, all right, show up, do your thing. It's like, no, there was a road to get here. You had to perform at every level. And on the same side, in every country around the world, there's guys doing that exact same thing. And you get these really awesome performances that people have been working, for a whole year to get there. And it is unfortunate that that's not really the case in tested powerlifting everywhere right now.
If you could hand pick, you only get to do it. You only get one lifter that tomorrow you say, no, this is now an IPF lifter. They're no longer good. He or her is no longer going to be a USAPL lifter. I get to choose for them. They're going to be an IPF lifter. Who would you choose to switch over?
That's a good question.
There's one that comes to my mind that
is
probably valuable for a number of reasons.
Well, yeah, you go first then.
Well, I just wonder, and I'm not sure if I actually don't know. I don't know the ins and outs well enough to say who makes the competition the best and in which weight class that competition needs to be. But just thinking in the terms of their reach and their how they market themselves and the power.
Russell Orhe.
It's Russell Orhe for sure in that way. But I don't know. Competitively, who it depends on which way you slice it, but he has a certain case that way for no doubt.
Yeah, dude, that's a all right. Let me throw a few out there, and so first let's talk about Russell Orhe. His reach is absolutely phenomenal. You bring Russell Orhe over to the IPF, and he does have Delaney Wallace, he does have Jurens, and Delaney Wallace at Sheffield almost took Russell Orhe's 83-kilo world record away from him with the final deadlift, couldn't lock it out. So he's there. However, if Russ wants to move up to 93-kilo class, and he already in the USAPL moved up to 90 kilo and took that world record. So if he comes over and he goes 93, the battle of the 93s with Gavin Aiden, Jonathan Keiko, all of their totals are real close with Russ. It would be absolutely gangbusters, phenomenal action. So Russ, to your point, if it'd be a good showdown, yeah, dog. If he wanted to, whichever way he went, he would be met with good opposition, and it would be a battle to the end. And what he would bring, also to your point, to the IPF, what do you imagine him at Sheffield? Imagine him bringing his video bloggers, videoing it, and the whole. It would be amazing promo for Sheffield. His lead up to Sheffield, his recap of Sheffield, SPD, be like, oh my God, it would be phenomenal. So 100%. In terms of straight up athlete that I'm extremely intrigued about, Bob Matthews has got me, at the edge of my seat to see what he's going to do. He won best lifter at last USAPL. And he could win Nats, and he could win best lifter again. He's something special, man. He's a once in a lifetime. I would love to snag him, bring him over. I don't know who the hell is going to battle with him. So he might need to be a 2-for-1 deal and bring Ashton as well. I know that wasn't part of your question, but dog, who the hell is going to battle Bob Matthews? It's crazy. He's just on another level. Rondell Hunt is another guy I would love to snatch. And Austin Perkins, and let's have him go toe-to-toe with Taylor Atwood and settle this. People are talking is the Taylor Atwood era over? And is the Austin Perkins era begun? Let me ask you fellas something real quick. What do you think constitutes, you can say this is my era? Not just I'm the best right now. When you look back in certain sports, you'd be like, that was that guy's era. Regardless of weight class, you're like, that's his era. He's dominating so much, that's his era.
Yeah,
what do you think you got to do to have that?
I know who comes to my mind, especially if we talk about tested powerlifting. I think there's the Ray Williams era in my mind, and it's just him going out and hitting those totals. But in the same time, so Jesus has now broken that total, obviously, by a considerable margin. But it's just not the number because I don't think it's necessary. We're not in yet. Maybe we are at the start of it and I don't know it yet, but it doesn't feel like it's not the Jesus era yet, like it was the Ray Williams era, because he was just pioneering stuff that is beyond the numbers a little bit. Just him hitting ESPN, getting in those videos and just bringing in the eyeballs. So to me, it's like sometimes it's maybe like
It's that
definable
X factor.
metrics. Yeah, right. But Ray Williams is one that comes to my mind of what he was doing that. But
there's also got to be that longevity factor too. You know, you
Right.
can't just be that flash in the pan where you have the one big performance where you break the
Right.
records,
Yeah.
then you're out. You know, if you want to establish that era, this has to be this continued period of dominance.
It can't be. Yeah, that guy had an era. It lasted 18 months.
Yeah.
That's not
Right.
an era, huh?
It's like, no, you
that's a
just
good
had
run.
a good meet, and then
That's a
another guy
stout-
showed up. That's
Exactly. You had 2 good meets. Like how many times you can be in a year in powerlifting? No, I think it's 100%. I think it's over the course of time. We just had this on the last podcast. We were talking about like what constitutes if you could say this is my era. And I think you got to be extremely dominant. Ray Williams. And we're talking like Taylor Atwood when he hit 838.5. If it was Dots, Wilkes, or Goodlift points, whatever the fuck you wanted, he was number 1 all time on all 3 of those formulas. And he destroyed the world record, not by like, you beat the world record by a kilo, 2 kilos. He beat the world record like by like almost 40 kilos. It was crazy. So then, or 30 kilos, sorry. So it was crazy. So it was like that. Okay. And then he was world champion for whatever, year after year after year, to your point, Tommy. So there you could be like, okay, I feel comfortable like this is your era. But it's tough to look when you want to look back and be like, this is my era. You almost have to have no contemporaries. You got to be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had an era. Can you have 2 concurrent eras, maybe in like a weight class, but not pound for pound? Not pound for pound. It's like you were the best player in the league or you weren't. There is no 2 concurrent. Well, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. Well, then it's neither of theirs. It's not their era. It's like you knew when you were in the Michael Jordan era. It just is what it is, right? So same with your boxing, Muhammad Ali or whatever. You just have the feeling this is this guy's era. It's got to be pretty undisputed. So right now, if someone's got to unseat Taylor and really pick up the torch. And you know what? It's not necessarily even where you just hand it off. Like just because one era ends doesn't mean a new one automatically begins right away. We might not have someone super duper dominant for a little while. And we're going to be quick to want to crown somebody. It's your era. To your point, Tommy, it's like, did you have a couple good meets and then someone else has a couple and it's back and forth, different weight classes? Someone's got to come in here and be like, whoop, I took every single formula. Any way you want to measure me, I'm number 1. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
And Tanner and I
that's difficult.
Yeah, it is. And Tanner and I both probably have a bias because we always like to see the biggest numbers.
I do. I definitely do. Yeah, there's no doubt.
So like with that in mind, like if you had to say like who's the up and comer, it feels like it's Jesus. Like he has the option to
set.
Like he's 24. If he can just stay healthy, like it can be his era because it's not that thing. It's like, oh, look how strong he is. But then, yeah, also like the next 5 guys that go out, they're in the weight classes that are bigger and they're lifting the same amount. Like you don't have to do that explanation. It's like, no, he just is the strongest. Like that's all there is to it. He is the strongest.
Not only that, let me pull this up real quick, fellas, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's got one of the formulas in his favor as well. I think he's actually ahead on, like usually those formulas don't favor the big men, and I forget which one he has, whether it's dots or GL points or whatever, but he's now moved in the lead on one of those formulas, which doesn't always happen either. Like Jesus for sure, and he just won Sheffield, which is like, how much are you setting a new standard? Like a new standard where you are like, look at everybody else is here and has rose it up to here. In the untested, it's for sure John Hack, by the way. He's got all the formulas.
Right.
He's got,
Right.
he's just murdering.
Right.
Multiple
No doubt.
weight classes, world records. Like it's John Hack. We are in the John Hack era. And it's that's for sure.
Here's a thought for you, and you've probably thought about this. At Sheffield, Jesus won. He should have won. He did, based on his performance, he should have won, and he did win. Sheffield picks its winners on a untypical manner, something we haven't seen before in other competitions. It would have been a shame had Jesus not been the winner of that meet. If he did the meet that he did, and if he wasn't the winner,
yeah,
I wouldn't like that. I guess as a fan, I would say that makes no damn sense. It did work. It worked out exactly the way it should, but the way that the winners picked it could come up that doesn't play out that way, kind of, I think, right? Or do you look at that? Do you know what I'm getting at? And you can explain it better. But
it's fair. No, it's fair. You got to evaluate possible outcomes. So if we look at this, if we look at it this way, the problem with formulas is they're all different. Somebody sits down, throws math together, and you can end up like for a brief period there, it was all one guy. It was unanimous. It was Taylor Atwood. Okay, good. And right now, and John Hack on the untested. Okay, good. But there are other periods. If you go back year by year in open powerlifting, it's different people depending on what formula you want to use. Well, that's not good, huh? As a matter of fact, if you go to certain major events, major powerlifting events, and they were using the Wilks formula at the time, if you want to pop in dots instead, you could rechange the lineup of that already done results page and rewrite history and be like, well, you know, by modern standards, the guy who came in third actually won and was better. And by modern standards, we think Dots is better than Wilks. And that means over history, things change. That means over history, depending on the formula you use. The reason why SPD chose the world records they chose is to be different, where it's kind of where I was saying with the Taylor Atwood thing when he came out in 2021 and took the world record, which is the best anyone's ever done, and ran with it. They're essentially saying, and this is what Jesus did, is you just destroy the standard and there is no formula or anything like that. It's literally take what we all know before and run with it and see how good you can do. And we'll pay you extra for every record you blah, blah, blah. Then it's no longer history. Nobody can ever look back and pop in a new formula and rewrite history of Sheffield or contest, be like, yeah, now that 10 years later, when we review those formulas, we thought they were hot, but they were not. We have new statisticians coming in and you can rewrite history with it. Nobody can rewrite this. It's pure. It's no, this was the greatest we'd ever seen. Jesus broke it, destroyed it, and ran with it. And that's it. It's undisputable. That's what they wanted, and they achieved that. Now, to your point, what happens next year? What happens next year? Well, Jesus is 24, and he's already talking about, if you look at some of the numbers that he wants to hit, he's in contention to do it again. It just depends what if Bob Matthews comes over? He's not going to do it in time for this Sheffield coming up. But Bob Matthews, you know, he's going to take the world record and run with it. Who's to say? Like, I got a feeling you guys like the big men, so you're kind of rooting for Jesus on this one. But you know, if someone else could come along and do what Jesus did to the heavyweights in their respective weight classes, like Taylor did as a 74 in the USAPL 2021, someone else can do that. It's kind of like God bless. Did you guys freeze on me for a second? Okay, you're good.
No,
I thought you froze. Is Tanner frozen?
Kind of looks like it, actually. I'm sure he'll come back.
Or is he just deep in thought? I hit him with some thought right there.
Yeah, you got him. You got him in a trance over there.
Okay, I think he's back.
All right. I could hear you guys.
Tanner, we're talking about you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just saying how essentially every dog can have their day, and it doesn't necessarily, history can't be rewritten. So we'll see how it happens. I think it'll push for massive standout performances. So yeah, I don't know, man. When it comes to this kind of thing, if it's not head to head, and they had good head to heads, which I like, like they had several weight classes where it's head to head matchups, which I also like. So you can have a mixed bag. But when it's not head to head and it's overall champion, it's never going to be cut and dry and clean. I'm telling you that right now. Right? I'm telling you that right now.
Okay, we've got this little game we like to play with every guest that we have on the show. Overrated, underrated. And we've got a special set of hand-picked topics just for you. It's your job to decide if each one's overrated or underrated. You can elaborate on it as much or as little as you'd like. But the most important thing to remember is you can't ride the line. You have to decide on each one. And some of this we maybe talked on a little bit. Some of it will be completely fresh. But you feel pretty comfortable with our rules here? No riding the line?
Comfy.
All right.
I'm comfy.
Okay, so overrated or underrated, America's Got Talent.
Ooh. I would say I got it taking me back because I was on America's Got Talent. Good research on you fellas, by the way. You know what? I'll say underrated. I think at one point it was overrated, but now it's underrated.
What was the experience like? I mean, was it fun? Was there anything bad about it?
Oh, dude, you want to talk about anxiety? I walked out on stage and got like I remember one of the TV producers, like Howard Stern is out there, Howie Mandel, and I don't know if you've seen them, like they will roast you. You know, Heidi Klum was there. Freaking who else was out there? It was the wildest. Nick Cannon. I met Nick Cannon, and they put me in the lineup. It was like, this is a wild story, man. I'm not even American, man. I was a ringer. They brought me in because of what I did on Canada's Got Talent. Slid in my DMs. This is how this happens, and said we want to bring you in because when NBC drops $1 million in a weekend for the New Jersey auditions, and the TV producers bring everyone in, when NBC goes to TV production company, NBC is a broadcaster, TV production companies, whoever the hell they are, when they go to them, what did you get us? What did we get from that episode? You can't tell them, we didn't have very good acts. You know, Jersey was a bit of a flop. They're like, no, we dropped $1 million.
Yeah.
You're gonna stack the deck and make sure. So they'll bring in like ringers. I was a ringer and they knew exactly what I was going to do. And there was like 5 of us that were ringers for sure. They got me. And then if you happen to find good talent, amazing. And then you could roll with them. So I knew I wasn't going to move forward because I remember if there's a massive lineup and they showed the lineup, they implanted me in the lineup. And Nick Cannon, they're like, what the fuck? Those producers just walked up and popped this guy in the middle of the line. He hasn't been here all day. These people have been there all day. Then Nick Cannon walks up and is like, hey, dude, can I talk to you? And the cameras are like, yeah, let's talk to him. And people are like, what the fuck? This guy, what is he, an actor? They just planted him in there. Nick Cannon walked up and pulled him out and they started talking. I'm lifting kids up, squatting them. Nick Cannon's doing it the same. And it's like, it's reality TV, but it's not reality TV. But at the same time, before I went on to the platform to go, one of the TV producers told me, you know, you're not moving forward. You're Canadian. I got advice for you. Because this could go either way for you, and they don't care. Because you're not coming back. They're like, when they say something to you, the judges, it's Howard Stern, Howie Mandel, he's like, you're here to be a strong man. Don't try to be funny. They will, if you say a joke and it flops, they will fucking roast you. You will you will go viral. People will remember you. I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit right now. It's good advice though. Like stay in my lane. But yeah, man, it was like, you want to talk about anxiety? That place was packed and like the ratings were like 5 million or whatever. People watch a lot. It was crazy, man. I've been in some crazy scenarios. That was one of them. Yeah. That was more nerve-wracking than D2 with Bill Maher or Bill
Bill Kazmaier.
Kazmaier.
Yeah, Kaz.
I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, overrated or underrated? The Sheffield.
I gotta say, well, first off, if you say the Sheffield, people are gonna get upset. Put that in front of it. I think honestly, I think I'm gonna say underrated because if you were there live and only 2,000 people were, holy freaking smokes. The stream was not like live, and it's going to be next year, but in real time, they were working things out on the stream, right? By the time deadlifts roll around, everything's lovely. And if you were there, man, I've never felt that before in my life. I've never felt like it was like 2,000, and they were drinking, and 2,000 people in this amphitheater standing up, chanting like, and the music was like, boom, boom, and they were chanting, and I could feel it in my chest. And I was like, and everyone's standing and chanting, and it was like, and then if they got a call they didn't like, and it was like, boo, like in real sports. They would boo a bad call like they would in hockey, football, whatever. They'd be yelling at the refs or whatever. It was the wildest, man. I say underrated. And And it's well, fucking wait till next year, man, because it's underrated because you don't even know what's coming up next, too. It's gonna be wild. So yeah, next year is gonna be like 2.0.
Is Sheffield, is that SPD's headquarters where they're at, or close to it?
Yes,
Or, okay,
that's right.
Is there
Correct.
any
Yep.
chance that, and maybe this isn't better, is there any chance that they would take that event? Obviously, it wouldn't be called the Sheffield in that point, but could you ever see it being somewhere else? If they threw it in Las Vegas, I mean, could that ever happen?
Here's what I'll tell you. First off, I could definitely foresee them outgrowing the venue they're in for 2,000 people. They're right there already. So I could see that them outgrowing that venue and moving to like a freaking much bigger. And this thing could get much, much bigger real quick, gentlemen. So that can definitely happen. Can it actually leave Sheffield? You never say never. I honestly, even though it's called Sheffield, never say never. Who the flip knows? Here's another thing. Let me just throw this out there. Who's to say as years go by, like this is extremely profitable? Just like the Arnold Classic, why can't we have two? Why can't we have one in North America? It doesn't have to be Sheffield. Sheffield doesn't have to go away, or maybe Sheffield moves out to North America. Who knows? But like, yeah, you can be fluid with it. You can move around with this thing a little bit. Or you can have 2 events a year. You can have, a freaking series of events. Who knows, right? So, and maybe just like the Grand Slams in tennis, Wimbledon might be still Wimbledon and always special, but you have other events throughout the year as well, and it moves. So there's a lot of possibilities. I mean, who knows where they're going to be? SPD is very healthy, and they could do a lot.
Overrated or underrated 6-packs?
Oh, fuck, you got me here, huh? Dog, I'm gonna say overrated.
Okay.
Didn't see that one coming. I'm gonna say overrated. Overrated. Powerlifting's taught me that.
Yeah.
Stuff. Hey, come on, man. So, hey, can I say something? So's booze and chicken wings and pizza. All right, they're pretty fucking dope too.
Yeah.
So overrated, man.
All right, that's fair. Okay, last one. Usually, the last one's worth all the marbles. That's traditionally how we frame this, and so we're a lifting podcast. We say we're the lifting podcast about nothing. We know a little bit about powerlifting, a little bit about strongman. We don't necessarily know a lot about anything. Your podcast is, kind of the IPF powerlifting podcast. You're the commentator for the big IPF meets. You get the guests on. You have all the people. I'm going to ask you about another powerlifting podcast here on Overrated, Underrated. Not either of ours. So. Overrated or underrated, Two White Lights podcast.
I haven't heard them in a hot minute, but I mean, I'll say underrated then.
Okay.
I haven't heard them in a hot minute, so I can't tell. But yeah, I would say underrated because they are heavily. So I am not just the IPF podcast because I have all the SPL fellas and like
and untested,
right?
lifters.
Yeah.
But like you're still like the voice. I say that because they're kind of. A lot of times they're like the voice of a lot of these USAPL lifters, and I'm not pigeonholing you by that when I say that either.
Yeah. No, I know. But that's why I would say underrated because it is like just if you're the voice of the USAPL, then it's stuck inside like one nation, right? Your major market is going to be one nation as opposed to like we were saying earlier, where it's like there's a huge market out there, right? But they do more than just USAPL as well. But I do know what you mean where their focus is as opposed to, or maybe it's just how people view you. You know what I mean? Like where sometimes you're like, nah, man, we do more than that.
Yeah, no, that's true. So you did say underrated though.
Underrated.
Okay. Good news. It looks like you passed overrated, underrated.
I passed. Oh shit.
So congrats on that.
Okay,
all of them,
and we are now allowed to air the episode too. So there's a lot riding on the line there.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Good.
Yeah. One couple of closing things I wanted to talk about. One thing, I'm going to read this podcast review of King of the Lifts, and I read this. You can comment if you want, but I read it mostly for our listeners because this is so relevant to our podcast and comments we get. So I wanted to read this. This is not a review of the Massenomics podcast. This is the King of Lift podcast, but you could be interchangeable from what we've heard before. So please provide timestamps for when the interview with the guest starts. I don't have 2 hours to listen. And I just want to hear the interview and have to randomly fast forward through the first 5 to 30 minutes. That could be a review of the Massenomics podcast is why that's funny. So
timestamps are so hard, man. You don't realize like how hard it is to double back. Some of these podcasts are like you said, 2 hours, be 3 hours, man. I've had podcasts of like 3.5 hours. I had to go through it. Sometimes I do like 3 podcasts a week. Sometimes when I'm rocking and rolling, if Sheffield's done or IPF Worlds just happened, you know how hard it is to freaking timestamp all of those, all the key topics.
We refuse to do it. We won't bend to that.
Yeah, we have a strict rule of no timestamps, and if people ask for them, just the response is no timestamps. We don't tell them anything.
No timestamps. God bless. If somebody, for a little while there, I shit you not, somebody was actually timestamp, just someone who listened was timestamping and putting in the comments, and I'm like, holy shit, thank you. This was years ago. God knows what happened to him, but yeah, man, timestamps is so hard, man. I don't got time for that. Who's got time for that?
And here's my point. So sometimes people say, because they're not maybe someone's not a listener, and they're not an avid listener of King of the Lifts or Massenomics, and a guest comes on and it's what gets them in the door, and they listen for the first time, and they just want to hear the interview of the guest. And my thing is always, this is our podcast. Like, it's okay if you don't like it. That's totally okay. A lot of people aren't going to like it. We don't expect everyone to it. We don't cater it to everyone. It's okay to not like it, but like if you're coming to listen to our podcast, yeah, you're going to hear us talk. And if you find out you don't like that, don't come back. Yeah, like if you only came to our podcast to listen to John Hack, just go follow John Hack and just like listen to John. I'm like,
you can cut us out of the equation.
You don't have to come for it.
Well, they were saying like that. See, there's the thing with the King List podcast. It's this. I just start with the guest and finish with the guest. So it's only the guest all the way through. So if you're looking for a timestamp, you're not even asking me when the guest comes in. You're asking me timestamp every fucking thing we've said.
Yeah,
It'd be like, in here we talk about IPF Worlds, and here we talk about, do you know how hard that would be? That'd be like every topic for 3 hours. I don't even know how many topics we talked about. And here's where I talk about, like, that's crazy to me. It's like, no, man, we're doing timestamps. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then so you talked about the lineage of King of the Lifts, like in reference to Instagram, and how there was a squat, bench, deadlift. King of the Lifts was really the deadlift. The one issue we would take up with that is we've always looked at, there is a King of the Lift. It is a deadlift, but it's a very specific deadlift. It's the Jefferson deadlift. It's really the King of the Lift. So we just wanted to corner you on that.
This is true, gentlemen. No lies told. You know what? One time I actually shared one of those in the stories, not on the page because I know that would be trouble, but in the stories. And are you guys the ones who were just like, I know this has been around, like this was always around, but the popularization on social media.
I do think we are probably largely responsible for that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we had a serious conversation. Like, okay, this is a thing. I think we could make it a big thing. Like, let's see what we can do. And I mean, we put some effort into it.
And we got Sean Green and Forsaken Warrior Steve Johnson. They both ended up pulling over 900 pounds, and they did it just like because we kind of got them going on this thing. And since then, Big Mark, Deadliest Lift, he's broken that record. He's pulled like 935 or whatever it is. But yeah, I like the Jefferson deadlift definitely existed before us, and there's some obscure people out there doing it, but I think we have to take credit for that because I don't think that's like tooting our own horn when we shouldn't. Like, I think like that is one thing oddly enough that we can be responsible for is the Jefferson deadlift rise in popularity.
You left your mark, man. For better or for worse. If there's a Jefferson deadlift world championships that emerges, you guys better be commentating. They better reach out to you. I'd be pissed if they didn't. Is it in terms of Jefferson deadlift? Fuck, I gotta try. I've never done it before in my life.
Gotta try it.
How does it feel? Is it way harder?
It depends on the person. Some people Jefferson deadlift more than they conventional or sumo deadlift.
Oh damn.
But that's not the case for me. It's it's a harder lift for me. And I
plus it's just scary, the idea of thinking like, I am going to try and max out in this lift. Like, do I want to get hurt doing this lift?
Yeah.
And where did this come from? The Jefferson deadlift. Do you guys know the history on this thing? I'm assuming.
Thomas Jefferson invented it. It was back in 1776 during the creation of the United States of America. That's like
Is that right? Wow. That's how it was decided. There was battles decided. You challenged the general.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
it's all like in the Revolutionary War,
Come down to my fort. Me and the fellas got some logs all done up, and we're gonna fucking Jefferson deadlift.
We actually, I think Google is popping up some of our falsely written articles. Like if you Google for a while, if you Googled who created the Jefferson deadlift, it has like satire articles that we've created that like pop up at the top of Google where it takes like a quote. It's like from Massenomics.
Yeah, Google is accrediting us as like knowing the history of this, and it's our made up articles.
Oh,
yeah.
God, that's amazing. I can't believe you guys were making up articles on it as well.
Yes. Yeah. We're taking it to an extreme.
There's levels to this.
There are the levels. There's a commitment to this.
Yeah.
Respect.
So that is our only criticism of the page is just not near enough Jefferson deadlift content.
That's fair. That's fair. You know what? That's got to change. That's got to change going forward.
Yeah.
Is there actually Jefferson deadlift competitions?
Yeah, there's occasionally they'll have it in strongman. I've seen that before. But there is like IAWA or some weird. It's like they've got like 100 different recorded lifts that they actually judge and monitor on, and this is one of them. And but that, like, as far as does that actually exist, I don't know. There's like one in Iowa once a year or something like that.
And do they call it something else too? Because remember last week, David, wasn't he telling us, what did they call it?
Some people say straddle lift, and a lot of you'll see Kai Green doing it, and they'll call, bodybuilders will do it, and they call it a Jefferson squat a lot of times. I don't prefer that though. It is really the Jefferson deadlift.
And you guys keep records, right?
Yeah, we keep the unofficial top 10 all-time record for men. We do need to add the women's record. Some people have asked about that. We need to start keeping a top 10 for the women also. And like when we started keeping the record, to top 10, if you did a little over 600, you'd get in there. Now I think 10th is like 725, and there's several in the 900s. So
well, that's like quality lifters who are doing this.
Yeah, what I want to see happen, and I'm not going to spoil any, just like you couldn't spoil any surprises, but in 2023, might not be the Sheffield, but there may be some opportunities for some big time deadlifters out there to make some cash by breaking all-time Jefferson deadlift records. And what I would really like to see is people like maybe Jamal or Dan Grigsby or a few of these guys take a crack at some big Jefferson deadlifts. So maybe we'll see what we can do to help make sure that happens at some point in time.
Can you imagine 1,000-pound Jefferson deadlift? And I know there's no weight classes in this because there's no weight classes in the jungle.
That's right.
That's right. I told you. I listened. I follow. I'm paying attention. I told you. Yeah, that'd be amazing, man. I'd watch. I'd watch for sure. And I'm assuming you guys do commentary.
We've gotten.
It comes up several times a year. We've always turned it down.
We haven't done it. Even when we're at the showdown in Kansas City on the spot, we kind of got asked to fill in, and we didn't. And a couple of the bigger meets, we got asked in advance about doing it, and we have turned it down. And it's just, I think we could do it. And you talk about being the lead and the different. I think we could both definitely add color, but I don't know what you do with two color guys. You're gonna
need a lead.
Exactly.
It'll turn into a podcast real quick.
Yeah, exactly. And we're at least self-aware enough to recognize that, and that's kind of why we haven't done that. And we don't want to make ourselves look like dipshits in front of the people that are listening to these live streams are really get the sport. And our problem is we follow powerlifting pretty closely, but if we go, I don't know the depths of this roster, and I'm not yet prepared to do enough homework to know the depths of this roster and be able to provide valuable information on, someone that's going to finish 7th overall, because I don't, I know who tell you about John Hack and quite a bit about him, but like when it comes
the
to
knowledge drops off in a hurry.
right. So we haven't
That's
done
fair.
it.
It's actually refreshing in a world where everybody is a know-it-all and everybody just like to actually hear somebody like, you know what? I know what I'm good at.
Right.
You know, and
Which isn't much in our
crushing it
case, so it's
every
kind of
week.
easy to know that
Come
because it's
on.
a really short list. So it's like,
It's easy. The list is so small. It's just you can
yeah,
say
talking
no to
about
everything.
Jefferson deadlifts. Yeah, get us on, but
That's right. That's right. We're on all day because you could make up the facts. It'd be like so no one can say
we
you're
literally do
wrong.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. And then if someone tries to call you, you could be like, Google it. You know?
I now have a new
Google
respect
it.
for, people are like, well, I read it on Google. It must be true. I'm like, yeah, no, where some of our information is getting on there as the top leads on that. So,
Yeah, use another search engine.
but yeah, we'll leave that to
yeah.
we'll leave that to the professionals. Honestly, like we could pop in if your comment, you're at the say we're at the Arnold every year and the two white light guys are commentating. They could pop us on for 15 minutes and we could provide a little something that would probably be fun and entertaining for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But I think that's kind of our range in actual powerlifting commentating like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you wouldn't enjoy it, like if you got super into it, you would dive all into it. But if you're like, it's just something people ask you because nowadays, if you podcast, people start commentating. That wasn't the case back in the day. When I first started in 2016, it was like super duper weird that we're like trying to do everything. And now it's like, I got a podcast. I'm a power lifter. It's just the natural thing. Do you commentate? It's like, no, man. Like I don't want to. It's not my thing. I know what I'm good at.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. But yeah, I totally get that.
Where else? We kind of talked about most of the stuff, but just so everyone knows, where do people check you out on? I mean, you have your personal page as well. I don't know if you like sending people there too, but we haven't talked about that. But where would you send people that are listening if they're not already following you?
King of Lifts. My personal page, man, like I post whatever the shit. It's like sometimes I could be a week, post like 3 times, another time like I might not post for a month. It's literally like my personal, and it might be like it could be anything, man, not even powerlifting related. If you're listening to this, you're probably a powerlifting fan, and it would be for sure. King of the Lifts is like the platform, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. I don't know if people still do Facebook, but we're there. So Facebook. It obviously on every single audio platform. Spotify, we got full length videos, which is cool. King of Lifts, man. It's just King of Lifts, King of Lifts. Find King of Lifts on whatever platform. Give us a listen, and that's it. And fellas, we gotta do this again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Let's keep it moving.
It's the powerlifting
Yeah.
podcast crossover that nobody knew they needed, but they're excited to hear it now.
Boom! But they got it. They got their first taste of it.
Awesome.
That's good.
We appreciate it. Good stuff.
Thanks a lot,
It was
Ryan.
fun.
Yeah.
You bet, man. You bet. You want me? Drop me a line. I'm in. We'll make it happen.
Right on.
All right. We'll see you later.
All right. See ya.
See you, buddy.
All right.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
You got big 6 cool beans, didn't you?
He did. He got the cool
He didn't get
beans.
6 cool beans though. He only gets 2, just like everyone else.
a
He's
double
not
serving.
special. Yeah.
Not a 6 serving.
Oh, finally we got rid of that guy. We can talk shit about him now, huh?
All right, now we can get the rest of the show going. 2 hours and 23 minutes in. Should we jump right in?
It's time we dive right into this episode. I know a lot of people look forward to our after interview antics, but maybe we'll keep it a little shorter today.
I'm not sure how much time the sports and books segment, sports and books might have to.
Oh,
get
did you added a sports and books segment?
People were asking for it in the Discord, and I thought, you know what, that should be a segment probably.
Yeah.
So
we better hit on sports and books a little bit then.
I put it in
I'm
there.
kind of excited. I'm hot on those topics right now.
Yeah, sports and books. I'm kind of living the sports and books lifestyle as well right now. I just realized, you know what? I was all gung ho and fired up for the scientific principles of strength training.
Yeah.
We went to the Arnold and I took a week off of reading and knocked me off my habit.
Yeah.
Never revisited it. I hopped back in last night, read about 30 pages. I'm on page, I think, like 180 right now. So I'm getting through that sucker. I should hopefully get that knocked out in the next week or two here.
Good book, too. I could almost read that again at some point in time.
It is actually reading it now. I'm like, I feel like just with what I've learned so far, I could start over already and have a better perspective on how this works.
Right. I think that's true. Yeah, I ordered Atlas Shrugged. Still hasn't shown up yet. I think that comes tomorrow. And I did order Meditations.
You did?
And there was some talk about Meditations on the Discord also, and talking about editions and like translations of it.
Yep, because there's different versions of it.
Right, and I did go with the translation that Big Jeff is talking about. Although I had looked,
what's the cover look like on the one?
It's red with like
that red
bird on it.
Yeah, that red. That's the one that I got too. From my limited research, that was supposedly the best translation.
The for what it's worth, what the negative Amazon reviews say about it, everything on Amazon you can find that. Do you read do you like? I always like to see what the negatives are.
You know what?
And then
to
take
be
it for what the grain.
To be totally honest, this is a bit of a tangent. I do almost everything I can to not order stuff on Amazon. I'm kind of that guy.
Right.
I'm kind of the Amazon hipster in that I don't.
But
order
would you
from
ever
Amazon.
use the reviews?
Oh yeah, you always look at it, and
right.
I mean, the thing with all reviews is like, for the most part, the 5-star reviews are awesome product, great, and then the majority of the 1-star reviews are I ordered this and it shipped ripped. Like it has nothing to do with the actual product.
That's it.
So then once you get through that, then you start to get to real reviews. Then
See, it was funny. I didn't know Amazon sold books. Isn't that a funny thing?
Could be an emerging market for them.
Yeah. Isn't that a funny thing? Like someone could almost say, I mean, Amazon sells everything, but like some people definitely wouldn't know that.
Yeah,
like that's
nowadays there
where
are people be like, damn, did you know Amazon actually has a lot of books on there?
You'd be like, yeah. But if you wouldn't know the difference because Amazon isn't about books, like Amazon is about that's where you just buy everything. But so I did buy that, but the negative critiques of that, like people don't like that, like they're butchering really that edition's butchering the true. But I think the trade-off is something that's readable and digestible. And I'm like, I'm more interested in the readable and digestible than getting it in its original.
Yeah, I don't speak 150 AD. Come on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's so I'm excited for that one. I'm probably, if Atlas Shrugged comes, I think if I'm able to read Atlas Shrugged, I'll know within the first I feel like 25 pages if I'm like, am I going to be able to do this? Like, do I think I could do this in any amount of time ever?
Do meditations first, because then we can talk about it. And it'll seriously take you 2 hours to read meditations.
Well, what I'm going to do, this is what I've realized that I'm going to do, how I'm going to approach Atlas Shrugged is I don't want to be tied down.
You don't want to block your entire 6 months out to that.
Right.
So you have some side books you're working on.
Yeah. So I'm going to start Atlas Shrugged, but then I'm not going to be afraid to bring it in, like meditations. Yeah. Like that's one, especially if it's a shorter book like that. I'll be like, I can bring this in and be like, good. I got to check something off the list here. And I'm still tackling this.
I'm making progress.
Behemoth. Yeah. And sports, he's him. He did it.
They did it. I thought for a while the Celtics were gaining some steam, and I'm thinking this is how it's going to go. They'll be down the whole game and come around. But man, by the time that fourth quarter started, it wasn't even a game anymore, was it?
No, Game 6 was a rough night in our house though because we were all cheering for Miami. Good,
I forgot. We haven't talked about that. Yes, that was quite the finish, wasn't it?
That was a rare. Was a rare.
That's when you watch it.
Last second finish. It was almost like like it didn't feel like it wasn't like a last second normal buzzer beater because it was such a like, what just happened?
Well, that's the one when you watch, you're like, that was too late. Like I think we're okay here. And they play the replay, so you're just like, you're sort of in disbelief, but you're like, nah, we're good. And then do the replay, and you're like, damn, really? They got that one off. It's clean. It's done.
Like I was almost like expecting them to replay it, like when people were like taking their jerseys off and stuff. I'm like, so it's really over then? There's nothing. The reviews thing in the NBA is just like out of control of all the, I didn't realize all these play reviews that they do. Not talking about that last second shot, I get that, but like just this reviewing the foul calls and stuff like that. I'm like, the fuck are you even reviewing here? Like what, like watching in slow mo, like how much the contact was. I'm like, quit doing that. Don't review that stuff.
And in the NBA, especially,
Just
I mean,
make
you
the
could
call.
find a foul. You could find a foul on every play, couldn't you?
It's so you watch it over and you're like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know. Of course there's contact. When is there no contact? Like, so I get rid of that shit. It's bogs down the game.
And they can almost never do it fast either. That is the problem. It'd be one thing if they could like knock those reviews out in seconds, but they most often go like many minutes for them to figure it out.
Review the red light buzzer beater stuff. You know, you know, if maybe even like if you want to review something, review if someone's foot is on the line or not on the line, or if they're out of bounds or not out of bounds. But don't review foul calls, because you could say like even between, sometimes you're like, I don't know, they called it a defensive foul. If I really look at it, was it an offensive foul? Maybe, I don't know. They're just smashing into each other.
Now that it's in slow motion, I guess you could say that the momentum was here. This person wasn't here, but like the game gets called in real time, not in slow motion. So that's just where it all falls apart.
Exactly. Game 6 was we were a little bit shocked on that one. Game 7, very anticlimactic. But the funniest thing I heard is afterwards, you know, because Jaylen Brown kept saying, "Don't let us get 1, don't let us get 2." And then I saw a meme after Game 7 and they're done. Is Jaylen Brown is like, "Don't let us win Game 8." And that really made me laugh. I was like,
that is good.
I still thinking that there's just another game. So now we've got the Nuggets and the Heat. I would love to see the Heat win. I think they're going to get crushed, though. I think there's going to be...
They just went through just a ringer of a series, and Denver's just been sitting over here feeling good, right?
And they're so... I think so much more talented, honestly. Like, it's just not even... it's not comparable, like the talent levels.
Is the question, do they sweep them, or does Miami get a game or two off?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep. If I have to bet on something, that it'd be a sweep. I hope Miami wins. I hope that it goes to Game 7 and they win at the end. Because
it's always great to see one of the major sports, the championship, not be a blowout. Like that always feels anticlimactic. So
and I want to see an 8 seed. You know, that's fun. It's like, how is this possible? I don't know. I like Jimmy Butler though too, so I just would like to see him do well. But
he is good. I think in my limited basketball knowledge that Denver is gonna make quick work of this though.
Yeah, it is. Any other sports? We've been basketball heavy on sports and books. Any other sports stuff going on?
You know, I went and played the Sioux Falls equivalent of Top Golf the other day.
Is it like
great shots is what they call it here.
Okay, sure.
Same thing though, but
yeah.
I mean, that was fun, I guess. The extent of my sporting.
Any balls go astray, or did the nets pretty well cover things there?
The nets cover everything pretty damn well there. They got those things up high. It was dark though. It was at nighttime. So
did you send the snap, or was it on? Did you post it on the Discord of where you?
They
had a sign.
Yes. They do actually have a sign that says like golfers are responsible for their balls. It's like, all right, they're getting out in front of that one here. There's no mystery about who's responsible.
I can respect them. I think I could, give those people my money and feel okay.
Feel safe with it.
Not also, be a moral compromise.
I don't know. Myself. I'm just looking around like, well, on both sides of you, I think it's just empty field. So there's nothing there. I guess if you teed up sideways and hit someone,
80-foot tall nets or something.
Oh, they're huge. And I don't know. Like it was dark, and you can send a drive off pretty hard. So. Like, I don't know, maybe that drive got over the net, but if it did, it's up so high, it's just coming down at an empty field. Right. You know, there's nothing out there for it to hit. So, I guess the real problem would be if somehow you teed up sideways and swung at someone, but you're being pretty intentional with it then. Yeah.
So that's a good sports update then too.
Yeah. I think that's all the sports in my life right now.
Okay. And we covered sports and books. We can cross that one off the list then.
One of the fastest, newest segments on the podcast.
Yeah. I can save my other thing I had for next week.
I can too.
Okay.
We're going late.
Yeah. So let's bring this one. I got a 6 a.m. run to get to.
Oh, yeah. Damn.
Not that many hours. let's bring this one in for a landing, but do make sure to become a supporting member if you're not already. We got that special gift coming out soon. Get in on our comp drop. We've got the 2-colored comp meat, powerlifting meat tees. Actually just seen people wearing around those wearing those around the gym too, and they do just look cool. I like those tees with the
looking good
with the lift hard, live easy on the sleeves. Looks good. The deadlift socks, no more bloody shins for you. The headband, and then we'll have the singlet, so you can get in on the singlet. Don't wait on the singlet because ordering that is trickier than ordering our t-shirts, and sizing is different and
different and a guess. And if you are one of the perks of the Discord, one of the perks of being a supporting member, you are for sure going to have the inside track on when that's going live. So if you do want a singlet and you see a size, your size is there, you should probably hop on that right away.
Yeah. Tonto, jump on it.
Exactly.
Also, I wanted to let you guys in on a little something else. Did I talk about the Strength Co clips last week?
No.
The weight clips?
No, we have not talked about those actually.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if we were allowed to talk about those.
Well, no, just about like that. I have a set of the silver Strength Co.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know if we were allowed to talk about those.
Yeah. So I head over to the Strength Co. We talk about their plates all the time.
Everything that happened, I just didn't know if we were allowed to talk about those.
Really, there's a lot of mystery around these clips of whether or not we can talk about them.
And to be clear, we're talking about social media clips, right?
I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I've been clueless for about the last 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Wait, are we recording yet? But you're talking about the Strength Co collars, barbell collars.
Yeah,
correct?
collars.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm using the wrong word here. Is that a clip? Do you call that a clip?
I know what you're saying when you say clip. I think people say that, but
do people say clip though, or am I just making that up right now?
I don't know. I always felt like we said clips in the gym, especially like when I think clip, I especially think
It's
those shitty
metal pinch
little pinch ones that are like kind of spring loaded in a way.
We do not and have never had those at Massenomics gym.
God, those things were
That's
so
one of the perks
bad.
of not having a shitty gym.
Actually, even the gym I go to with their substandard stuff doesn't have those.
Isn't that what we had at the Y?
Oh yeah, that's all they had. And on top of that,
those are garbage.
They probably had, what did they have? Like, let's see.
2 sets.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, was there 3 spots where you could squat, 2 spots where you could bench, and then like a spot where you could deadlift? So like a potential of like
5 total clips.
Yeah, there was like 6 potential areas to use barbells, but there's only 5 sets of clips. So it's like, oh yeah.
No, there was just 5. It was probably an odd number of clips.
It was all the time. You'd be like,
why is there just one?
There's 4 clips here that are being used, and there's 1 here. Where's the rest? Look in the bucket with all the, they'd have the bucket with just the shit. It's like, there's some straps in there, a dip belt, and a clip. And they're like, oh, it's probably in there somewhere. And like, no, it never was. They were just gone.
Yeah. So the clips or the collars, the Strength Co collars, I've got a set of those. If you haven't checked those out, check out the Strength Co collars. That's kind of the new Strength Co thing I've had and been using at the gym. Pretty cool. You don't have to slide them on from the barbell. They're really unique.
Would you say they clip on?
They clip on. That's what they are, a clip, right? But they're still a collar. Clips, collars. What does everyone market it as? It's a collar.
I think collar is what everyone markets.
Okay.
Which is also funny
Sounds
though,
more
because
premium.
the other part of the barbell is the collar.
That's what that's what I'm thinking about in my head. I'm like, that is the collar of the barbell. So it's a collar on the collar.
That's what is so funny about the barbell is that you have a part of the barbell that's called the collar, and then you also buy a device called a collar to hold plates against the collar.
Right. Maybe clip is better.
I'm just as a little experiment here. I went to Rogue and I typed in collars,
barbell
and what you would expect comes up. I typed in clips, and collars come up.
Okay.
And actually, they have
they
have those springy ones that we said suck so bad.
Yeah.
And they call them the Rogue Spring collars.
What do those cost? $1 a piece?
$15 for the set.
Yep, that's too much.
They have a USA version for $18. But yeah, every one of these looks like it's called a collar.
Okay. So check out the Strength Co collars, and or clips, whichever one you want to check out. And then also, of course, their Made in America plates. They've actually become over time. They have become the go-to plates of Massenomics Gym. I don't know if I've
heard
ever
that
mentioned
before.
that before. Okay, yeah, okay, probably have mentioned it. But check out the Strength Co. At what's the website? Is it thestrength.co?
That sounds correct.
Check them out. Very affordable shipping on their plates too.
Maybe the most affordable in the game.
Doesn't get much more affordable than affordable.
I like to think that they are changing the game with their shipping.
That's true.
Okay, and this episode is also brought to you by SwissLink. In 1995, Maurice Big Mo Huffman founded SwissLink with the mission to bring authentic Swiss Army goods to the United States and into the hands of those yearning for quality gear at uncompromised prices. Now, for nearly 3 decades, Big Mo has been traveling far and wide in search of the best items from military forces around the world. Big Mo doesn't only find authentic military clothing for SwissLink, he brings in everything you can imagine from Swiss military rangefinders to Italian police tracksuits. SwissLink.com is also home to the SwissLink Classic Wool Blankets. They're an ideal mix of 80% wool and 20% recycled fibers. It's that special blend that provides a soft, luxurious feel while maintaining all the benefits of wool. The designs are reminiscent of brands that rhyme with Schwendelton and Schwudson Bay, but are available at only a fraction of the cost. SwissLink's exceptional collection and dedication to quality customer service distinguishes them from the rest. Enjoy a 15% discount on your next purchase at SwissLink.com by entering the code MASS, that's MASS, at checkout. Thank you, SwissLink.
Thanks, SwissLink. 15% off at SwissLink. You can't beat that with a stick.
No, you cannot, or a Italian champagne flute either.
Put that in your smoke and pipe it.
Is this the longest podcast episode ever?
I don't think so.
Have we gone?
No.
Have we gone? We've never gone 3 hours, have we?
I think we've done 3. I think
Really?
like even maybe episode 300 we went pretty wild, I think. didn't
Really?
we? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. One of the historians here will find us and let us know here this next week when this
just
comes
in
out.
the sake of closure, I better look quick.
How do you
episode-
find the
Oh, I'm just typing it on our website.
just like longest podcast ever?
No, just what episode 300, how long that was.
Oh, just checking that one
Yeah.
specifically.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
that one,
yeah.
3 hours and 1 minute. Yep.
Yeah, I think we really
Damn.
we thought,
Yeah, we were getting close to the end. That does sound right
Yeah.
now. We were getting close to the end. I do remember us trying to extend it out, but I didn't know if it was to hit 3 hours or 2 hours and 45 or what.
I could easily do 19 more minutes.
Oh,
right now,
my God.
but,
Just at these, we have 2 things in here. One's a note I have and one's a note you have. I mean, the one note I have is like a 5-minute story, but I could make that a half hour if you want me to.
that's mine is so menial and just should almost not even be brought up. So that makes a perfect like 30-minute podcast, Massenomics podcast topic.
Now that I say that out loud, that's probably the whole opening part of next week's episode.
This topic I have written is going to be great if we talk about it next week. I think you'll really enjoy it, and you'll have some good opinions on this one and some good insight too. So I think
Good.
I think people can really look forward to this
I
one.
love opinions and insight.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like
gonna
my-
give a tip. I'll give a teaser for next week. The title of this topic is going to be unsubscribing.
Mm.
So
Well,
leave
okay.
everyone on
If
that
you
cliff.
get to give
Yeah.
teasers, I also want to give a teaser. This
Yeah.
one, you can probably use your imagination to get to the conclusion of what this involves, but the topic is called cracks.
I don't know what that is about. Honestly, I don't know what that. I'm
It's
not
like
sure
a Jeopardy. It's like a Jeopardy category, cracks, and then we're just going to talk about different types of cracks.
Every answer ends in RACKS. All right. Should we bring her on home, Johnny?
Might as well.
Bring it on home, Johnny. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Baird, but just please make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics and subscribe to our YouTube channel, damn it.
Do it.